Yo, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Cool.
So we're just trying to figure out how to record the debate on our end. So we're just getting some bot set up, and then once that is set up,
Now recording.
Let's
oh, there we go.
go.
Seems to be
Nice.
This
working.
sounds
Yeah,
okay.
man.
So it's recording right now. So
Mm-hmm.
we're just going to be having a debate on three topics. Maybe we can take. Should we have like a time limit on how long we spend on each discussion? Because even if we don't end up agreeing, we'll have to end things at some point and move on to the next topic. So we are covering three topics here. So the first debate is going to be on transgenderism. I'm going to argue for the proposition that there is no moral obligation to affirm transgenderism.
Wait a second. That's not the proposition we agreed on. I posted the
I mean,
proposition.
if you want to be pedantic, and you please feel free to read out the exact proposition.
Yeah,
but
the
if you're going to be
exact
pedantic
the
like this,
exact
you'll not get very
proposition.
far.
Hold on.
Okay?
Yeah, the
Go ahead.
exact proposition that
Yeah.
you agreed on last. The final
Yeah.
proposition that you agreed on was we shouldn't cater to the gender affirmation demands of trans people on social or political level.
Social or political.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That is a different proposition from saying it's not a moral obligation.
Okay. Or maybe that's just you being pedantic. Here we go. Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
So the second
do you
topic was,
understand the difference between the two? Do you understand why
No,
those are
not
different
really.
propositions?
Because once again, I don't mind if somebody is going to affirm a transgender. It's just that it shouldn't be an obligation, right? It
No,
shouldn't
no,
be
no, no,
expected
no.
of every
Hold on.
individual to socially affirm.
That's not
Okay.
answering my question. I asked you, do you understand how those are different propositions, right?
No, I don't.
Yeah, okay. Then I can tell you why those are different propositions. When you say we shouldn't
Okay.
cater to gender affirmation demands of trans people, that I'm not sure what sense of should you're using it. If you're using it in some kind of moral sense, then you're just going to be that's just going to mean that you are obligated to not affirm the gender or gender demands of trans people. So that's different from saying it's not an obligation.
Okay, fine. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Let's stick to the one that
ex-
I gave you yesterday. We shouldn't affirm the gender demands, or we shouldn't affirm the gender affirmation demands of trans people,
Yeah.
social or political.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah. Sure.
And then second debate topic is going to be whether organic is carnist. I'm going to argue for the proposition that it is not carnist, whether it uses bone meal or not. Third debate proposition was on killing wildlife predators or order predators, to be specific. I'm going to argue for the proposition that we shouldn't be killing order predators um, unless a few conditions are met. Okay, maybe we'll get into detail when it comes to. I'm sorry. We'll get into the detail of those conditions once we get to that debate. Okay, so we have like a time allotted for each debate. I probably have like 2.5 hours, so maybe we can have 1 hour for the trans debate and 45 minutes for the other two topics. I think that would be a fair allotment of time for the three topics.
Yeah. I mean, we can. Yeah. Sure. I don't mind.
And then maybe we can have like a 5 minutes opening statement, and then we can have back and forth. We'll try not to talk over each other to the best of our abilities. We'll try to keep it civil. Does that work?
Yeah. I mean, I don't I don't have an opening statement, so we could just get into the back and forth. Or if you want
I
to
do have
open,
one.
yeah, sure, go ahead.
So I'll just make my stance clear on where I stand when it comes to transgenderism, right? So do I think transgenderism is a legit condition? Like, um, yeah, because I don't know the mind of the person who is claiming to be a trans individual. So I do think transgenderism is legit in ways where many other conditions are legit, right? Like schizophrenia, a person might perceive things that are not there. That is also legit, right? Yeah, they do perceive those things. I'm not denying the existence of transgenderism. I'm not claiming that they are solely pretending to be a person of the opposite sex or gender. And I also understand that the proponents of trans rights advocacy or transgenderism, they do have this differentiation between sex and gender, right? They claim that biological sex is different from gender, and I'm also of the opinion there are many genders, right? It's just that all of them are absolutely useless. They don't serve any real utility. The only time gender makes any sense to me is when it's a proxy for biological sex, when it's used interchangeably with biological sex. So I will be using the definition of adult male human for man and adult female human for woman, right? These are the definitions I will be subscribing to, and my opponent has to, try and argue for why these definitions are insufficient or, in some way or the other, right? That would be the debate requirement, so to speak, to convince me to his side. Is there any condition under which I'll be affirming transgenderism? Yes, there is one condition, right? There is one condition that is when, a trans individual is able to produce gametes that are associated with the opposite sex. Okay, that is the point at which I will affirm that individual as a trans. Okay, as a member of the gender that they're claiming to be. That is my condition. But I'll also add a brief critique of other definitions of gender. I think my opponent has agreed to subscribe to the definition of gender as a weighted summation of gendered traits. Is that something you sign off on, Akuta?
Yeah.
Okay. I just have a problem with that definition of gender, right? To me, it leads it just leaves us to leaves a lot of things to imagination. For instance, if gender is just a weighted sum of gendered traits, one, that is a circular reasoning, but that's not the biggest problem with that because it is self-referential. But that's not the biggest problem.
Wait,
we
one
have
sec.
bigger
How
problems.
is it self-referential? And the whole point of that definition was to get rid of the self-reference.
You're saying gender is a weighted sum of gendered traits. So what are gendered traits?
No, well,
What are
it's-
gendered traits? Okay, define what are gendered traits.
yeah, it would just be characteristics or traits that are generally prevalent in in a given biological sex. For example, like for instance, you could say something like, I'm not using the exact traits that are generally but for the sake of example, I could just say something like aggressiveness or something like that is more associated with being male, and those are associated with that particular gender. So yeah, that's what we are talking about when we're talking about gender traits. So it's not a self-reference.
Okay, but that's not the biggest problem, right?
Yeah, one sec. So
don't
do
care
you
that
do
it's
you, do you do
self-referential.
you concede that it's not a self-reference before we go further on this?
I mean, if I ask you more questions like what is male, what is female, at that point, where will you go?
Yeah, I would just go to some kind of biological allotment where it would be, I just take males to be members of a particular biological species or something which have the ability to produce small gametes, and females to be the
Okay,
ones that produce big gametes.
large gametes. Okay, so okay, in that case, it is not circular, but usually what I've seen people do is they refer to masculine and feminine, right? And when you ask what is masculine and feminine, it once again it loops into itself, right? So that's the reason why I said circular, but your definition is not circular. That's fine.
Okay.
Okay, the second point is it is sexist, right? Like the very concept of gender is sexist because it attributes gender roles to particular biological sexes, right? Like it says that something is a feminine trait, something is a masculine trait, but those traits are present in other sexes almost equally. It's almost equally prevalent, just varying in degree, right? So if you say that aggressiveness is a masculine trait, women can also be aggressive. Women can also be irritable, right? There are lots of traits that men possess, which women also possess. To say that, to stereotype something as masculine, that is sexist. To stereotype something as feminine, that is sexist. Okay.
Wait,
I'm going to
one
say
sec.
that.
How does, one sec.
Yeah.
So when you say it's,
No.
if
Wait.
someone just makes an empirical, it's an empirical thing, right? So like I'm not saying that only men can be aggressive and women can't be aggressive or something like that. That's not what is entailed on that definition anyway. So I don't see what you're talking. I don't know what you're talking about. It's a general prevalence case.
No, but why would you stereotype it at all?
That's tangential. Whether or not it's
No, it is. No, it is not tangential. It is relevant.
okay. Demonstrate the relevance.
Because you're saying that something is masculine. That is self-evident at that
Yeah,
point.
masculine as in generally prevalent among
aggressiveness,
people who belong to the sex of male.
and I think that is sexist because that is not. I mean, it is true that men are aggressive on an average,
Yeah, that's precisely
but it
the
is also
claim.
true that women can also be aggressive, right? To
I'm
stereotype
not
it as a
disputing that.
masculine trait. It's just a human trait. Aggression is just a human trait. To specifically attribute it to men, even if it's true, it's still stereotypical, right?
I mean, so what? Like, all we are saying is if masculine just means this trait, on average, is more prevalent in a given sex than the other. That's all we are saying. Like, so what? Even if it's like a stereotype, it's a fact that is true.
No, I mean, facts of nature are true, but facts of nature are also unfair or unjust or what do you say? They don't have, like they're not justified automatically just because they're facts of nature. Yeah, it is true that humans are on an average more intelligent than animals, but does that mean that we should, we shouldn't base anything on that? I don't think we should base anything of social stratification or rights on such notions. That is my point.
I mean, I'm not even making that case. All I'm saying is masculine just means prevalent in a given sex and more prevalent in a given sex and less prevalent in the other one. Like, even if it's stereotypical, like, so what? How does that have any implication?
Because that is the basis of sexism.
Basis of sexism? What do you mean by that?
Yeah, because you start to attribute traits to a particular gender or particular sex, and then you say that, like that is the basis of gender roles, right? Like you're starting to say that gender roles are somehow based in nature. Okay,
No, that's how.
and
Wait, how does that follow?
it follows because you're saying that a particular trait is more prevalent in one sex than the other, and therefore gender roles associated with that trait have a basis in nature, right? That's what it implies,
No.
pretty much.
How does that imply it at all?
I don't know how it doesn't follow because what is a gender role? Gender role is one that is typically taken over, typically performed by a male or a female, right? Based on some traits that they possess, which causes them to excel in that particular gender role. Correct?
Probably. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how you are using the term, but yeah, probably on my usage.
So you're basically making the case that there is a biological basis for gender roles, okay? And it leads to sexism from there. When you say
Wait,
that,
one sec. When you say biological basis, all you're saying is there are some attributes that are more prevalent in, say, males and less prevalent in females, and that's why, like, it leads to some kind of social stratification. Is that what you're saying?
it leads to some social stratification, and it leads to like what do you say, mischaracterizing of people. Let me tell you how. So if there is a male who is if there is a male with a lot of stereotypically feminine traits, does that does that mean somebody can perceive that individual as a a woman?
Yeah, I mean, if the like, I don't know what you're talking about, but if all you're saying is there is this individual who is a biological male, and on the net they have feminine, like, or if you take away to some of their gender traits,
Okay.
and it is like it turns out to be leaning towards like being a woman, then on that definition, yeah, that person would be a woman.
Okay. So wait, let me. I haven't given him in my opening statement. You just interrupted me, and you're trying to. This thing. I just want to give a brief overview of my stance on trans issues, and then we can probably get into this. Okay.
Cool.
I'll come back to this. We'll get to the weighted sum part. Okay. That's where we need to get there.
Yeah.
Okay. So my position on transgenderism is that I have a problem with the definition of gender as posited by advocates of transgenderism. If it is a weighted sum of gender traits, how would we resolve if there is a mismatch in the weights? Why should I not use my subjective weights for each gender trait to arrive at a different weighted sum and consequently a different identity for gender for an individual than what you would use or what they would use? If gender is a weighted sum of gender traits, then could we possibly have like an analog of gender when it comes to species identity or body weight identity or disability status? And can an individual identify as disabled just because the weighted sum of their ableist traits or ability related traits come out as disabled? Could a person identify as a member of another species just because the weighted sum of their species related traits comes out to be non-human or something like that, right? So there are these problems with the weighted sum of gender traits definition. And then my second, position on transgenderism is that aren't we all gender fluid and gender non-conforming trans individuals because we all possess varying degrees of traits that are stereotypically attributed to being male or female? And if you resort to, say, Socrates' paradox to differentiate a trans individual from a hyperfeminine or hypermasculine male or a hypermasculine female, then it is a problem for the person resorting to the Socrates paradox because carnist can also resort to Socrates paradox to circumnavigate the name the trait argument. For instance, they could say they don't know at which exact point in the trait equalization process the moral worth of the human is lost, but they know a human when they see a human, and they know an animal when they see an animal. And they could simply say that, therefore the human has moral worth and animal doesn't. So similarly, the trans advocates also say that they don't know at which exact point, the balance tips from being a man to a woman, but they know a man when they see a man, they know a woman when they see a woman. It doesn't work that way, okay? Because you would reject such an argument by a carnist who is looking to circumnavigate the named trait. So why would you use it here? And then it is also, I mentioned the part about gender being sexist because it stereotypes masculine and feminine. And the only meaningful distinction between a man and a woman or a male and a female is the gamete they produce. And this is my fourth point on transgenderism. This is my stance on it. I'm open to being convinced that biological sex is not binary. Okay, I'm leaning towards understanding that biological sex is binary because there are only two gametes, and humans in general are sexually dimorphic species. But I'm open to the possibility that the biological sex configuration of an individual could be somewhere in between a man and a woman. I just don't know enough of it. I haven't thought about it as much. I'm agnostic on that ultimately. But I just feel like just because there are intersex people and people with disorders of sexual development, that does not validate the concept of transgenderism. Just like how existence of people with atavistic traits, right? Like people with traits from an evolutionary ancestor, that does not mean that they are a different species. Likewise, I don't see how existence of intersex people or DSTs validates the concept of transgenderism. I'm just agnostic on that. I don't feel strongly on that either way. Also, when it comes to, I just said that I'm open to the idea that there are many genders, just that all of them are useless. The only meaningful take on gender is when it's used as a proxy of biological sex. When it comes to gender affirmation itself, I don't think we should be affirming gender of an individual at the social or political level, simply because that would also entail that we affirm species identity related incongruences or weight identity related incongruences or disability-related incongruences. Someone might be perfectly able-bodied and identify as a disabled individual, right? We wouldn't entertain such self-identification or subjective self-identification based on weighted traits, because the weights themselves are arbitrary and subjective, and anybody could attribute weights in such a way that they skew one trait over the other, and we just don't entertain such things in other areas. Why do we entertain it in this area? That's my argument. This doesn't mean I am against, I don't deny the existence of transgenderism. I do accept that their experience is real, their distress is real, their lack of well-being, their suicidal ideation, all of that is real. I'm not denying that. Although there are cases where it's just predatory men trying to get access to women's spaces, that's a good chunk of transgender community as well. But there are genuine trans individuals who are struggling every day. I don't deny this, and I'm agnostic on the use of puberty blockers. I understand that puberty blockers have been used previously to treat precocious puberty. No conservative ever batted an eye about it. They never had a problem with that. They only have a problem with that only when it's used for treating a mental condition, right? Like transgenderism and suicidal ideation because of transgenderism or gender dysphoria. So I'm agnostic about the use of puberty blockers. If all they do is delay puberty, and if there are no other significant side effects, I don't have a problem with puberty blockers. But I ultimately don't know. I'm not a medical professional with any kind of expertise in that area, so I'm just ultimately agnostic about it. When it comes to surgical intervention for gender dysphoria, I refuse to call it sex reassignment. I just call it, surgical intervention for gender dysphoria. So if there is an individual who is genuinely struggling with their body, right, like they're struggling to see their secondary sex organs develop, their penis develop, or their breasts develop, and if they're suicidal because of that, and if the best course of treatment is for them to get rid of those organs, I'm agnostic about it ultimately, but I am inclined towards favoring that surgical intervention, right? But that still wouldn't make them a person of the opposite gender, in my opinion, because to me that ultimately is contingent upon what gamete they can produce. To me, gender and sex are, interchangeable terms, right? That is the definition I subscribe to. I still wouldn't affirm them as a member of the opposite sex or opposite gender just because they've had this surgical intervention. It's just for them to be, for their distress to be ameliorated. That's my current stance on trans issues altogether. So I think we can we were talking about the weighted sum of gendered traits, right? So we can go back to that point. Hapota, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, I mean, I was going to ask, you can pick any of those, you listed more than half a dozen propositions in the course of your opening statement or whatever that was, but you could we could go over each one of them, but where do you want to start?
No, I think we should have clarity on the definition of gender, because that is where the difference arises, right? I just don't agree to your definition of gender. To me, it is if
when
it's defined as
when you
weighted sum
say
of,
you don't agree with it, what do you mean? Do you mean it doesn't capture
I think it's a
what
very
you mean?
bad definition because let me give you an example, right? So when you say gender is weighted sum of gender traits, mathematically it can be approximated as G is equal to W1 times M1 plus W2 times M2 plus W3 times M3 plus so on, plus WA times F1 plus WB times F2, like that, right? Which means where M1, M2, M3, and so on up till Mn are masculine traits or male gendered traits, and F1 up till Fn are female gendered traits, and Ws are basically the corresponding weights. Mm-hmm. This is what you're saying, right? When you say it's a weighted sum of gendered traits, correct?
Yeah, I mean, it's a set of doubles. It's for the first half of the double is the particular trait that is associated with being biologically male or biologically female, and the second part of the double is the weighting that is assigned. And if you summate the second parts of each of the doubles in the set of doubles, you would get a number. And that number you could be Depending on how
positive
you
or
assign,
negative, or
yeah, depending on how
yeah,
you assign the values, it would be positive or negative, and depending on how
exactly.
those are assigned, if on the net someone is like, if you assign positive traits to like females, female specific traits, or I should say female prevalent traits, and positive negative to male specific or
Male
prevalent
specific
traits.
traits.
um,
Okay.
if you get a net of positive, you would that
Mm.
person would be a woman on this definition, and if you get a if a
Negative,
negative,
it's a man.
it's a man. If you get a zero, then
Okay.
you would be agnostic on that person.
Okay. So so it's basically a sum of weighted doubles, right? Like W1, M1, W2, M2, like that, right? And that forms the first half or the second half, right? Basically.
Yeah, it would be like, for example,
Okay.
aggressiveness
It's much
something
like
minus
it's
1.
much like your utility calculus where you have a weight for rights violations and you have a weight for utility, correct? It's very analogous.
You could call like I'm sure there are ways in which it is analogous, and ways in which it isn't analogous, but whatever, yeah.
Uh-huh. So my problem is that um, I have a certain weightage for each masculine trait, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I probably would define my own gender based on those traits,
Yeah,
based on those weights and those traits that I possess,
yeah.
okay? But when I use those same weights for another individual to evaluate their gender, it need not agree with their weights, right? The weights that they would subjectively choose. It need not agree with that. They
Mm-hmm.
would get a different gender evaluation, right? At
Are
which
you
at
saying
that
their
point,
weights are different?
yeah, their W1s might be different compared to my W1, or
Okay,
W2 might be different.
okay.
The trait that they value as the core of their masculinity
Mm-hmm.
or femininity might be different than what my value as the core of my masculinity or my femininity. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so the weightage that I would assign to
Hmm.
a particular masculine trait will
Hmm.
not be same across the world, right? It's going to be different for each individual.
Wait, the weights that you assign would be uniform. Like the weights would change for like someone else. Like someone else might have different weightings.
Okay, so why
Like,
should I accept their weights and not use my weights when it comes to evaluating them? Because I'm going to use my weights to evaluate my own gender.
mm-hmm.
Why should I use a different weight for another individual? What is the relevant difference between that individual and me?
Well, I'm not
To
making the claim that you should do anything.
So if I evaluate a person as uh, a male just because they produce male gametes,
Mm-hmm.
and if I attribute zero weightage to literally every other so-called masculine trait they possess, so on the net negative, on the net scale, they're just going to be a net negative, right? Which is a male. At that point, can I affirm that they're a male even if they identify as a female? Or are they? I mean, can I identify them as a man even though they identify as a woman because they feel like they have non-zero weighted female traits that are larger in magnitude than the weighted summation of masculine traits.
Yeah, if by man all you mean is just like that one trait, and
Okay,
you just have one trait, then yeah. But
okay,
the thing is that then you're just equivocating. You're not talking about the same concept as they are talking about. So when you say man and they say man, you both of you are referring to something else, and you're basically talking past each other.
okay. So why should I change my notion of what it constitutes to be a man
Well,
based on?
I didn't make that claim. Why are you asking me why are you asking me to defend that claim? I never made that claim.
So
You're the one making the claim that you shouldn't affirm.
okay, okay. So in that case, do you agree that I need not affirm the gender of a person, like
No,
or at a
wait.
social or political level?
Don't ask me what you should do or what you shouldn't do. Like, you made the claim that you
Okay,
shouldn't do it, so now the burden is on you to
okay.
justify that claim. Don't ask me
Yeah,
to do it
because
for you.
my evaluation of a person's gender is consistent across the weights that I would use for myself and for that individual or any other individual for that matter. Okay, and I'm getting a particular value for the weighted sum of gender traits, and they are getting a different value. But I'm under no obligation to use their weights that they are using for their gender traits. And at that point, where is the need for me to change, like
Again, you're
where is the need for me
sneaking.
to adopt
Yeah,
their weights?
again, you're sneaking in that, right? Don't ask me to justify your burden. It's your burden that we shouldn't affirm the gender requirements of like trans people. So don't ask me to satisfy your burden.
I mean, okay, so here is the thing. I am not going to affirm gender of a person because they come out as, you know, the gender that I evaluate them to be based on the weighted summation calculus that you propose. Okay. At that point,
Wait,
where is the
whether
need for me?
you're
Because
going to do
wait, once again.
whether you do it or
No,
not is
Aputa, once again.
tangential to whether we should or not. So that's a different claim.
I mean,
You
no,
are
it is relevant,
reporting
right?
on.
Because if I should, no, if I should affirm it, then I should do it, right? That's what it comes down to.
How
If
does
there is
that
an
follow?
obligation, if there is a normativity of some kind, then that would dictate whether I should or I shouldn't, right? Like I do it or not.
It depends on what, like, how you construe normativity. Like, what you're saying is that I wouldn't do it in the sense that you're just reporting on whatever you would do, as in what your inclinations are towards that action. That
Okay,
doesn't
so
tell me anything about
okay,
whether we should or shouldn't, especially as a society.
okay, I'll get to that part later. But do you agree that um, I am justified in evaluating gender a certain way, and another person is justified in evaluating gender a certain way, and they need not match?
What do you mean by justified?
Like, I'm mathematically or logically justified based on this weighted sum definition that you've given me.
Yeah, I mean, I asked you what you mean by justified.
It is mathematically valid for me to evaluate the gender of a person based on my subjective weights that I would assign to each masculine or feminine trait.
Mathematically valid? I have no idea what that means.
Okay, you're just playing semantics at this point. If you want to have a constructive debate, you should probably be more,
I
less
mean, yeah,
autistic.
like,
That's all I'd say.
I don't know what you mean by mathematically valid. So, unpack
Okay,
what
this
you
is what
mean
you
by.
did in that. This is what you did with that anti-natalist guy that you
Yeah,
debated.
I'm
If
not
you're going to behave like
interested.
this,
I'm
you're going
not
to spend the
interested in you
entire.
rambling
Yeah, you're
about
not interested in the
something else.
meta. You're not interested in the meta.
Yeah, I'm
You're not
not.
interested in the meta. But
Yeah.
I perfectly know what you mean. I perfectly know that you understand what you mean. By
I
when
have
say
no idea.
mathematically valid.
Mathematically valid? I have no idea. We can probably
Oh,
do a
okay.
Google search
Okay.
and like you could pull up a concept. I don't know. You could. It's your
So
burden.
listen,
So
if you are
satisfy your
defining
burden.
gender as a sum of, if you're defining gender as a sum of weighted traits,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to assign weightage only to the gamete they produce. Okay, that is the only weighted gender trait that matters to me in determining gender. Okay, because everything else is to me irrelevant. Because whatever a man can do, a woman can also do. Whatever a woman can do, a man can also pretty much do. Even men can lactate these days if you give them sufficient hormonal injections. Okay, so at that point, pretty much everything else as a gender trait is irrelevant to me. Okay. Only gender trait that matters to
I
me
mean, I don't
is
care whether it's relevant to you or not. That's
okay.
tangential
Okay,
to the
so
proposition.
in my definition of gender, all that matters is whether that person is able to produce that person is likely to produce a male gamete or a female gamete if their reproductive system was functional. Okay, this is all that matters to me in my definition of gender. If that is the case, my evaluation of gender is solely going to be based on the gamete they can produce if their reproductive system was functional. At that point, I'll be ignoring pretty much every other masculine or feminine trait that person has. Okay? Because it's irrelevant to me. I don't attribute weightage to it because my subjective evaluation of gender is such.
Again,
Okay?
what you
At that
would
point,
do
I'm going
is
to,
tangential to what we should do.
I mean, we includes me and you, right?
Okay.
So, I'm just going to ask, where is the obligation for me to respect the other
Yeah,
person's gender?
again,
Because
you're changing the
Because
proposition
wait,
again. I never said
no,
it's
I'm
an
not changing the
obligation.
proposition. I'm not changing the proposition. If you say that it is, okay, what would your stance be on this? You say that there is no obligation to affirm the gender of a person. Is
Yeah,
that what you hold
yeah,
currently?
don't ask me. It's your proposition.
No,
You
what do you hold? What do you
justify.
hold? I just want to know your position.
I mean,
What is your position?
my
You
position
think?
is like irrelevant to what your position is right now, because you're the one who agreed to the
No,
debate
I want to know
proposition.
your position. I want to know your position to even understand if we really have a difference of opinion here. Okay.
I mean,
So
yeah, if you
I
want to know if there's a difference of opinion, of course there is. When you make the claim we shouldn't affirm the genders of trans people, that's a claim I disagree with. So, yeah,
okay.
what's like, yeah,
So at this point,
justify the burden,
I think it's
satisfy
safe
the
to say
burden.
that two individuals can make different gender evaluations of each other. Okay. Like based on certain weighted rates, I could evaluate uh, a trans woman as a based on my definition of gender, based on my weights, subjective weights, I could evaluate a person who is trans woman as a man. Okay, and that is valid because such are my weights. Okay, do you agree with that?
I mean, if you're asking me if you can do it, I don't see any ways you can't, but that's
Okay,
tangential to whether we should or not.
okay, but why shouldn't I do that? Because I just don't see a if your definition of gender is simply sum of weighted rates, I don't see an argument as to why I should accept that person's self-identity when it comes to self-identification when it comes to gender and not use my evaluation of their gender based on my subjective weights, because I am the subject here and I'm looking at the world through my lens, so I'm going to be evaluating a person's gender based on the weights that I would use on myself. Okay, at that point, where is the obligation for me to affirm
Again,
a person's gender?
don't ask me if you have an obligation or not. That's not the claim I'm here to
Okay.
debate.
Okay. At that point, I'll personally not affirm trans individuals. Okay. Let's get to the part where I argue for why we should not affirm trans individuals politically or socially. Okay.
Yeah,
It
that's
comes
the
down
part
to
I'm interested in. That's
okay.
the
Okay.
debate proposition.
Okay. Okay. We'll get there. So if that's the case, I'm going to make this argument, right? Like, what is the symmetry breaker between an anorexic person who has a really skewed perception of their body, their health, to the point where they attribute so much weightage to one trait that they share with a fat person, such that they end up identifying themselves as fat or overweight and continue to behave as if they're overweight, such that they indulge in binge eating, starving, and all that. And a trans individual who attributes a certain weight to certain traits that they may possess and identifies as a trans individual because of that. What's the symmetry breaker here?
Wait,
I mean, you wouldn't
what?
affirm an anorexic person's demands to be treated as like a fat person, right? If an anorexic person believes that he or she is overweight, you wouldn't accede to those demands even if their well-being depended on it, because you ultimately know that you're affirming something that is untrue in some way, right?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what fat means over here. Like, we have a general definition of
Okay.
fat in the literature, and it is
Okay.
probably related to some amount of some percentage of body fat or something like that. And
Okay.
if that's what we mean by fat, then of course the anorexic person is holding a false belief.
Okay.
But that's so
So
that's the symmetry
okay,
breaker.
and if
So there is a
they
false.
demand that, okay, wait. Okay,
Wait,
if they
you asked
demand
me
that,
for a symmetry breaker, right? The symmetry breaker is, in one
yeah,
case
yeah.
there is a false proposition that is being believed, and in the other case there isn't.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. That's great. Okay, what if the anorexic person now demands that the definition of fat itself needs to be changed? Just like how trans individuals are demanding that the definition of gender be changed to accommodate their beliefs.
Wait, I don't see how that's relevant.
No, it is perfectly relevant, right? Because gender, if originally it was defined as, if you take any dictionary, it is defined as adult human female or adult human male. Okay, but now trans individuals and trans advocates are demanding that the definition of gender be changed to um, weighted sum of gender traits. Okay, what if the
That's,
anorexic
I mean,
person?
I don't know any trans
No, what if
person
the
apart from like very few people who have actually given it any amount of thought, who are actually pushing for that definition. And in any case, like, even if they want to change the definition or not, that has no implications on whether we should affirm their gender or not. I don't see the relevance.
Okay, so but you would actively not affirm the propositions of an anorexic person, right? Of an anorexic person, you would actually deny them.
In virtue of the fact that there is a false belief, and it's a generally unhealthy pattern of life which affects longevity and stuff like that, quality of life, longevity, etc. So it's but mainly it's a
so if there is a small segment of anorexic population that has given enough thought and somehow philosophized their way into validating their delusions and defined essential body fat percentage as something far lower than what is considered healthy by the medical literature, you would not accede to those limits. So if there is a small group of if there is a small group of anorexic individuals who have philosophized their way into justifying their delusions by redefining the essential or healthy body weight.
I don't know what justifying a delusion means.
Dude, you don't know anything from the English language, okay? I cannot help you, but that's beyond the
look. I have a concept of justification. Wait, hold on. I have a concept of
that's
justification. That's
beyond the scope of this discussion.
I have a concept of justification of my own, but I don't know how you're using it.
Let me rephrase it, since you're being such a pedantic little. I don't want to.
I'm not interested in
Let me rephrase it. Okay, so if there is a small group of anorexic individuals who have philosophized their way into forming a coherent basis for their philosophy, so-called coherent basis for their worldview, by redefining what it means to have healthy body fat, even at that point you will not accede to the demands of anorexic individuals.
Wait, if healthy,
right? You would never identify them as overweight.
Yeah, if healthy body fat just means something that increases longevity or increases the lag time to disease, then we have an empirical definition for that. Like you could say 1% body fat is unhealthy, in the sense that in some sense you could say that that is fat, but if you're talking empirically, there is empirical evidence that below a certain point, below a certain threshold of body fat percentage, it would be unhealthy, in the sense that it decreases the lag time to a disease, or that it decreases longevity, etc. So that would still be a false proposition. I don't see what's the false proposition affirmed by the trans person here. So I just don't see how I don't see how you're analogizing those things. I've given you a clear symmetry.
No, because a trans individual is trying to redefine gender. That, it goes from defining gender as a adult human male or adult human female to something else, right? Like a weighted sum of gender traits.
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen how that leads to inconsistent outcomes.
Actually, I'm not even convinced that is true. I'm not convinced that they are they are trying to change the definition from adult human male to.
Okay, what are they trying to change it to then?
I don't know. How would I know?
So
I don't see how it's relevant either.
Okay, so you're basically that is relevant. If you don't even know what you are asking the definition of gender to be changed to.
I'm not asking for anything like that.
No, if you don't even know what you want the definition of gender to be changed to from something that is already
so when you say it should be changed, are you just saying it should be added to the dictionary or something like that?
No, I just I would say that is commonly accepted. Okay.
Oh.
Or that is accepted as a societal consensus, because we're talking about social and political affirmation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for purposes of social and political affirmation, should the definition of gender be changed from adult human male or adult human female to something else?
That's tangent. That's not my burden.
Okay, so you won't define gender. You won't.
Well, I mean, that's just dishonest. I've already given you a
No,
definition
that's
of
not dishonest.
gender.
That's not dishonest.
Yeah, it's
I
dishonest
did
because I've
present.
given you a
I did
gender.
take the definition. Wait. I did take the definition of gender that you presented, weighted sum of gender traits, and then you played. You were the one being dishonest and slimy by saying that's not a definition that is held by the majority. That's just a teeny
That's
tiny
not what I said.
minority that
I
holds that
said I don't.
definition.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's
didn't
your
make any
definition.
positive claim like that. I said I don't know if
Okay,
that's.
you said that not many trans people have put that much thought into it. Okay, so that simply means it's a proprietary definition that you're using. Okay, it's not a widespread consensus. It's not a widely used definition. Okay,
Yeah, I
so
can grant
I
that.
would. It'll be more fruitful for this debate if you actually took some positions rather than being such a slimy little,
I
weasel.
don't see
Don't weasel out of
I
your
don't
positions.
see why I have to do that at all. It's your proposition. You
No,
defend it.
because otherwise we're not going to have a productive discussion, right? There are going to be very
Yeah,
undefined or loosely defined terms
I'm just
to the
not
point where we're
interested
going to
in
have
the
no clarity.
meta. It's your
No,
proposition.
it
You
is not
defend
meta. It
it.
is not meta. Just because
It's your
you find it
proposition.
inconvenient, that doesn't
You
make it
define.
meta. Okay,
It's
just because you find it inconvenient, that doesn't make it meta. What I'm trying to say here is, if you actually took some stances that would actually be helpful in,
I don't see how I have to take any stances for you to defend
or
your.
even agree upon some definitions. Okay, agree upon some definitions.
What do you mean by agree
So
upon definitions?
yeah, because when I used the definition that you gave me for gender, you said that's not something majority of trans people use. Okay, I'm not talking to majority of trans people. I'm just talking to one trans rights advocate. That is you here. Okay, so
Yeah,
let's go by your
that's the
views.
definition I accept. So
Okay, so let's go by your views then. Let's go by your views then. I'm just talking to you. So you said gender is a sum of weighted sum of gendered traits. Okay, and then I'm saying gender is meaningful only when it's used as a proxy for biological sex, and therefore its definition has to be,
wait,
or it's better off being, yeah.
when you
What?
say meaningful, what do you mean by meaningful?
Okay, another. Okay. This guy is just so pedantic. It's just impossible to have a meaningful conversation. Okay, gender as a concept makes sense, coherent sense, only when it's defined as adult human male or adult human female. Okay, this is what my definition of gender is, and this is the definition that dictionary gives. Okay,
Wait,
when you look
one
at the
sec. So
definition of a man or a woman,
are you saying any other definition apart from adult human male? It fails to get the concept of what the person wants to convey into your head. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that it doesn't capture my idea of what it means to be a man or a woman. Yeah.
I mean, I don't see how that's answering my question.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is, how would you convince me?
Did you hear my question?
You asked how that answers your question?
Yeah, I asked you a question. Did you get the question, or do you want me to repeat it to you?
Can you repeat it? Yeah, repeat it.
Yeah, like I just asked you if, when you say it's not meaningful, do you just mean something like it doesn't capture your view or something?
Yeah, it doesn't capture my view of what it means to be a man or a woman.
one sec. So, yeah, when you say it only, yeah, that's not what I asked. I mixed things up. But yeah, what I asked you was, yeah, when you say it doesn't make sense, are you saying that when someone uses a definition that is different from adult human male to refer to some concept, then they aren't able to convey that concept to you? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm just saying it's not a definition I agree with.
So I don't know what you wait. When you say it's not a definition you agree with, you mean it doesn't capture what you mean by man or woman, right?
A male or a female, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean,
Or a man or a woman. A man or a woman, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't see why anyone would care if it captures your view or not.
Okay, I'm just saying, by affirming, the trans beliefs of an individual, or not trans beliefs, but what do you say, by affirming the gender evaluation of a trans individual, we would it would also entail that we would affirm a lot of other false propositions. Okay, I gave the definition of anorexia, but you're saying
what's
that
the false proposition?
false propositions such as what it means to be in a healthy body weight, healthy body fat percentage.
Wait, that's for the anorexia case. What's the false proposition in
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the trans case?
I just believe that any other definition of, I mean, at least the definition that is commonly put forth by trans individuals and trans rights advocates, and even by you, it doesn't accurately capture what it means to be a man or a woman in my eyes.
I don't see why anyone should care about that. The question is
Okay, I don't care. So
the question. I mean, the whole point is
okay,
that
okay. In that case, okay, if anorexia is a hard example for you to understand, I'll go with species identity, right? So
Okay.
there is a group of people called otherkin. Okay, otherkin are individuals who identify as members of other species.
when
Based
when
on
they say
some
species.
subjective.
Wait, one sec. So when they say they are members of other species, what is the claim that they are making? What proposition is that
They
expressing?
identify as members of other species, right? Like let's say there was an analog to gender for species identity. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
they are identifying as something other than what it means to be a human. Okay, there is something like to be a human, right? Like there is a view of the world to be a human. There is a subjective image that you form in your head
That's
about
I
you
actually
and
don't
the
take
world.
that view. All I when I say human, all I mean is
Okay,
members of a particular species based on some kind of genetic proximity. That's all I mean.
okay, okay, that's fine. But
And
hypothetically, if there was
I mean that's the academic
no
definition of species
hypothetically,
too.
okay, hypothetically speaking, I agree. That's a academic definition of human. Hypothetically, if there was a social construct or social and psychological and biological image, right? Like a combination of all three. If there was an analogous concept of gender, but for species identity, okay. Um, let's say there is something that corresponds to being a human, and let's say there is something that corresponds to being a dog. If a human, a biological human, felt like they don't identify with this social construct of what it means to be a human, but they identify with the social construct of what it means to be a dog, and they would like to be affirmed as a dog, we would never affirm those beliefs, right? We would never affirm such social constructs. We will never affirm such self evaluations. So why is it that the
Wait,
society
so
thinks, or
when you say affirm it, like in the sense if they are talking about, like, yeah, I mean this is like an equivocation thing. Like when you're talking about species identity, but you're also talking about something else, which is not what we're talking. Like we are not talking about species in the genetic sense. We're talking
I'm
about
talking about analog of a species identity. I'm talking about no, I'm sorry. I'm talking about an analog of gender that corresponds to species identity. Gender corresponds to biological
yeah.
sex,
So
right? Like
if
corresponds to, you think it corresponds to biological sex. I think it is synonymous with biological sex.
yeah, so if someone
Uh,
says that they possess traits that on the net are something that's like, again, this hypothetical set of traits that you're
okay.
putting forward, if that's all they mean, then I don't see what's the false claim that they're making.
I'm not saying they're making a false claim. I just think that there is no, we wouldn't affirm such a thing, right? We would discourage such behavior. We would dissuade them from such affirmations, even if they subjectively feel that's true. Okay. I have been feeling, very,
I mean, you should speak for yourself. Like I
relatable with
don't take a
tigers,
view
right?
on
I've been
that.
feeling very relatable with tigers. Once again, I've been feeling very relatable with tigers lately, but that doesn't mean I can identify as one, right? And even if I identify as one, I wouldn't expect, or I think, people should
When
discourage
you
such
say
beliefs, right? If I
tiger,
think
do
I'm a
you
tiger,
mean like a member of a biological species or something like that, or do you mean something else?
by tiger, I mean, okay, so that's why I mentioned, right? It's an analog of gender, but corresponding to species. Okay, if there was an analog of uh, tigers, it was an analog for the, much like gender, but for the biological category of tigers. Okay.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Seems like gibberish to me.
No, it's not gibberish. Gender is gibberish. Okay.
I mean,
That's what is gibberish,
if you're
because
claiming it's gibberish,
see,
I've
if you
already.
can if you can once again, if you can conceptualize gender, you can
Mhm.
very well conceptualize that there is something like to be a particular species, but that's different from the biological species itself. Okay. If you
No,
can conceptualize
how
that,
does
you
that
can
follow?
conceptualize this. Yeah, you can absolutely. You just lack imagination. That's all. Just like you lack original thought.
Yeah, I mean, I have no idea what you're meaning when you say like an analog of gender, because over here we're talking
You
about
know
some
what?
kind of hold on.
Okay. Let
Wait,
me give you an example.
hold on,
You
hold on.
understand what an analog is, right? Okay.
Yeah, hold on. Yeah, so when you're talking about some kind of analog of gender, in the sense that gender is just going to be a set of weighted traits, and if you're saying that there is some set of traits that are
Okay.
typical of a species, right?
Okay.
And you're
Huh.
saying that you possess some of those traits, I don't
Okay.
disagree with you. Then I don't see what's the problem with that.
Okay. So, let's say there is an analog of gender, which is defined as a set of weighted sum of species traits. Okay.
Species
And
traits, as in
if
traits that are prevalent
let me
in the
just
species.
call this concept X. Okay, this analog, I'm just going to call it X. Okay. Like this is the equivalent of gender. This is the analog of gender. By analog, for people who don't understand, it's an equivalent. It's a proxy. Okay. Analogs are basically concepts that behave similarly with other concepts or other objects or other entities. Okay. For instance, if you say Ohm's law, V equal to IR, and then you can also write heat transfer in the form of Ohm's law. Okay. So temperature difference can be written in the form of Ohm's law. So in that case, temperature difference is analogous to voltage difference, potential difference. So I'm saying let's say hypothetically there is an analog of particular species identity X. Okay, that is corresponding to gender. That is analogous with gender. Okay, just like how gender is defined as weighted sum of gender traits, this analogous concept X is defined as weighted sum of species traits.
Yeah,
Okay?
and by
And let's say there is a human.
species traits, you just mean some traits that are prevalent in that
Yeah.
species, right?
Oh, yeah. So
Okay.
let's say there is a human who identifies as an other kin, and he is like saying his X, right? I'm just going to call it X. His weighted sum of species traits comes out to be of a different species, typical of a different species, and not of the human species. Okay, if this is what this person claims, you would dissuade that individual. You would not affirm that person's. You would never think there is an obligation to affirm that person's beliefs.
I don't take a view of that.
Why wouldn't you? What would you do? Because I'm trying to gauge stress test your philosophy when it comes to gender evaluation.
Yeah,
What would you do in such a case?
I just don't take a view on it. I don't have a doxastic state one way
That's
or the other.
okay. That's just you being a weasel and trying to answer the question.
Wait,
I think that
how?
is over at that
Wait.
point.
How is
Because
that?
you know.
What? One sec. How is that being a weasel?
Yeah, because you're not taking a stance on that. If there is
Yeah, why am I
human,
obligated to take a stance? I mean, if like I don't have a doxastic state one way or the other, why would I force myself to take a doxastic state?
because that you know that it'll expose your logical inconsistency.
What's okay? Let's say I wouldn't affirm it. Okay, let's say hypothetically I wouldn't affirm it. In actuality I just don't take a view.
Okay.
But let's say I affirm
Hypothetically,
it.
you wouldn't affirm it.
Yeah, derive the contradiction.
So why would you affirm gender then? It's also similar.
Don't ask
right?
me
Like,
questions. Derive the contradiction. You said is
You
going
wouldn't
to
affirm it there.
you said there is going to be a logical inconsistency, right? So derive the contradiction.
Yeah. So you wouldn't affirm this weighted sum of species traits, concept X, even if a person has the perfectly valid, not valid, right? I wouldn't say valid. Perfectly real belief that they have overwhelming traits of other species,
Wow,
right?
I
Even if they
asked you
have
for
that
a contradiction. You're giving me a speech.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you.
What's the
Okay, I'm gonna give you,
proposition
okay?
and negation?
So you are affirming. You said you wouldn't affirm that, but you affirm a similar concept elsewhere. Weighted some proposition elsewhere. So that is a contradiction.
Again, I'll ask you once again. What's the proposition and the negation? What's the proposition that's being negated?
Okay.
That's being affirmed and negated.
Okay. The proposition that you're affirming is that you're affirming the gender beliefs of trans individuals, correct? That is
Yeah.
a affirmative proposition. And then the negation of that is
okay.
you wait. You denying denying the validity of other weighted sum traits.
That's not a proposition or a negation. That's like P and not Q. That's just different propositions. Those are not the same proposition. Do you know what a contradiction is?
I mean, no, I know a contradiction, P and not P, right? So you want me to
Yeah,
make
and
you
P
say that you
and
affirm
P
gender
has
and
to
not affirm
be,
gender.
and like when you're using P, you can't
So you want
change
me to
the
make you say
propositional variable.
wait. No, you want me to make you say you affirm P and not affirm P, correct?
Yeah, because you claim there was a
Which
logical
is you affirm
inconsistency.
gender and you don't affirm gender.
What?
You want me to make you say that you affirm gender and you also don't affirm gender, correct?
I don't know what you mean when you say there is a logical inconsistency.
No, if I have to derive a contradiction, that's what you mean by deriving a contradiction, correct?
Yeah, by contradiction, I just mean a proposition and negations. That's what I want you to define.
Okay, so you affirm gender and you also don't affirm gender. Only if I derive that, I would have derived a contradiction for your claim, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, let me try another route. Okay, since I think you're being a weasel here because you're not
Wait,
affirming
one sec.
Wait, let me finish.
So, is there a contradiction or no?
I believe there is a contradiction.
Okay,
but
yeah,
let me
fine.
state this and I'll get into what I think is
Derive
correct.
the contradiction. Derive
Okay,
the
okay.
contradiction.
So I think by not affirming another weighted traits sum, you are actually contradicting your methodology. Okay, you believe
Yeah,
that
what's the contradiction?
there could be a concept like gender that could be okay. But let me go into places where you do deny gender
Wait,
affirmation.
what's the
Okay?
contradiction?
So what if a trans what if a trans individual wants to participate in the
Wait,
sports associated with the
what's
opposite
the contradiction? Don't ask me questions. What's the contradiction?
sex? Okay, so you I'm gonna you do you wouldn't be okay with a trans
You're
individual
asking me questions
participating
instead
in the
of
sports.
giving me a contradiction. Don't ask me questions.
Okay, by denying trans individuals other access to women's spaces where they're vulnerable, where biological females are vulnerable, or by denying access to trans individuals access to women's sports, trans women access to women's sports, you are essentially denying their gender affirmation.
What's the
So
inference to
that is
that?
also that can be considered a contradiction. That can also be considered a
No, okay.
a contradiction.
What's the proposition that's being affirmed and negated?
The proposition is that you say that it's okay to affirm trans individuals, correct?
It's okay to affirm? Yeah, sure.
And then when it comes to events like women's sports or biological female sports or say places where women are vulnerable, biological females are vulnerable, you would not be affirming the gender of trans individuals there, right? You would essentially be denying access or participation for trans individuals, trans women in those areas, correct?
It would depend. Like if it's going to be in the case of like sports and there is some substantial advantage that they have in virtue of them and already undergone puberty.
I mean, some women have a substantial advantage over other women. If Serena Williams has substantial advantage over Sonia Mitchell.
You didn't let me finish,
so,
right? So
okay,
I asked,
finish.
I said substantial advantage in virtue of them having undergone puberty and resulting increased muscular mass. So it's
okay.
Yeah. So what's the
I don't know if you've
contradiction there?
got this. So there are several conditions which make women have significant androgen receptors and consequent testosterone levels and satellite cells in their muscles and all that, because of which they have pretty much the same advantages a man would have. Okay.
Wait, one sec. What was the contradiction that was entailed?
Yeah, I'm going to derive it. Okay, just have some patience. So just because a woman, male puberty itself means nothing here. What it comes down to is you deny inclusion of women, trans women, in women's sports.
Wait, you went from
claiming
that
means you're essentially wait.
You went from claiming
denying the affirmation. You're denying the fact that you would affirm them, right? You pick and choose. You cherry pick.
Okay, wait, who was that retard who muted me? Who's the fucking retard who muted me?
I have no idea. I'm sorry.
Fucking pussies. Anyway, yeah, you went from saying that there is some contradiction that was entailed by affirming the trans case but not affirming the species case. I'm trying to get the contradiction entailed by that.
Okay. In one case, you affirm a concept that is defined as the weighted sum of certain traits that has biological basis. Okay. Do you agree that those traits have biological basis, like masculine or feminine traits have biological basis?
Sure. If by biological
Okay.
basis you mean
Okay.
that
In the
there are
case of
some biological
Here's the contradiction.
processes.
Here's the contradiction. Here's the contradiction. Here's the contradiction. Then. In one case, you affirm a concept like gender, which is defined as weighted sum of biological traits. Okay. And in the case of trans speciesism or something like that, in the case of other kin, they call other kin, you are denying that an equivalent concept, an analogous concept, where the concept X was defined as weighted sum of species-related traits.
Well, I never denied it. If you remember, I didn't take a
Oh, no,
position
you said you were agnostic about it. You don't take a stance, doxastic stance on it, and then you said, for the sake of the argument, you would deny it. You wouldn't affirm it.
Yeah.
That's a contradiction. No, it's
Okay. What?
so you're affirming a weighted sum. You're affirming a concept that is a weighted sum of some bioessentialist traits in the case of gender, but denying it in the case of other kin, right? What is the symmetry breaker there? What's the symmetry breaker there?
Like, you could just say that the symmetry breaker is in them in virtue of being some kind of like biological equivocation. Like if you're talking about species in the sense that it's some genetic proximity, and in the case where you're talking about gender, where it's a set of weighted traits or something like that, then it's just going to be a
No. Here we defined this trait. We talk about species, right? We just talked about traits that are related to species, and that is also weighted in such a way that it's now just a concept like X, like gender. Okay. So where is the symmetry breaker here? Why would you deny, a person's identity X, but affirm gender when they're both similar concepts? One corresponds to gender. One corresponds to the incongruence between their biological sex and their perceived, weighted summation of their sexual traits, and then the other corresponds to the weighted sum of their species-related traits. Both are naturalistic and bioessentialist in nature, but you are affirming one summation of weighted trait, but you're denying the other summation of weighted traits. Why would you do that? What's the symmetry breaker?
Well, I don't ask me for a symmetry breaker because it's not my view. I just gave you a hypothetical. But in any case,
useless.
Yeah, in any case, you would have to demonstrate the contradiction. I'm not seeing what the
I've demonstrated it. I've laid out the contradiction.
You just said
you
just said that you affirm it in one case and you don't affirm it in the other case. That's not a proposition or a negation. That's a proposition.
No, it is, right? Like
and another
defined.
proposition.
Okay, P is. See, P is. I can define P as affirming weighted sum of certain traits. Okay, some bioessentialist traits. I'll just make it loose, right? That way, I'll not mention which exact bioessentialism you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to keep it vague, then you could have like a contradiction.
I'm not keeping it vague. I'm just keeping it like one level above.
I mean, you said it's going to be loose. You said it's going to be loose.
No,
so if you're
at this point, like carnist can also keep saying that, like someone like Shadow Star.
I mean, that's just tangential. The point is,
they could also say that
the point is
value being a human.
The point is that you are keeping it vague, and then you're saying there is a contradiction, right? You use the term loose. You use the term that I'm gonna keep it loose. I'm not saying that. So when you say you're going to keep it loose, I just take that to be a vague definition.
Once again. Okay, let me rephrase it then. Let me reword it. I'm just going to keep it as one level above, right? I'm just going to keep it as bioessentialist traits. Okay. So in PS, you affirm the weighted sum of bioessential traits in one case, and you deny the affirmation of summation of weighted traits in another bioessentialist case. In another case. Weighted bioessentialist traits. Sorry.
Yeah, so what's the contradiction in that?
That's a contradiction. You affirm and you deny by weighted sum of bioessential
Yeah,
traits.
I'm like one could affirm one set of bioessentialist traits and not affirm another set of bioessential traits. Like
Okay,
I
what's
don't
the
see what's
symmetry
the
breaker
contradiction.
between both of them? What's the symmetry breaker?
Don't ask me questions. It's your burden to justify the claim that there's a contradiction.
No, if you have a double standard, I'm gonna ask for a symmetry breaker. If you're not giving a symmetry breaker, that's a logical inconsistency. Period. I don't know what else
I
is
mean,
there
it
to
could
demonstrate
just
that.
be that, like, I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm not even obligated to give you a symmetry breaker because I don't even hold the view. But even if
No, I'm
if,
just see this way. I'm demonstrating that nobody will essentially affirm the beliefs of any other weighted sum of any other
well,
bioessential traits.
that's an
Okay,
empirical
why is it
claim.
that
Whether
why is it that
nobody
they do
would
it
do
only
it
when
or
it comes
not is
to
an empirical claim.
wait. Okay, most people, right? They wouldn't, right? They would see the
That's I
hilarity
mean
of it and the
that's a
absurdity of
stronger
it.
empirical claim.
Listen. Most sane people would see the
That's a
hilarity
further
of
empirical claim.
affirming the weighted sum of bioessential
That's
traits
a
in
further
most
empirical
contexts, right?
claim.
Like anything like that.
Yeah, that's a
But
further
they do it
empirical
only in the
claim.
case of gender. Why is it that they're doing that? They have like a logical inconsistency which they are not able to give a proper symmetry breaker to. I think that's the problem here.
Wait, what?
And in any case, even you wouldn't affirm gender when it comes to access to vulnerable places where women are vulnerable, like prison cells or you know um, or ladies' locker room. You presumably you wouldn't be okay with a trans individual going there, would you?
I don't
You
take
said
a
it
view on it.
depends.
Yeah, it would depend
Okay, dude.
on,
Like
yeah.
I
I
think
don't
it's
take
been
a
one
broad
hour,
view.
and I think you're being extremely Weasley. I think most people who are in this debate will see that you're being Weasley. I
What?
think
I
it's
never knew
better.
that.
No, it's been 1 hour, and I think it's better to move to a different
I
topic. Do you
never
want to give some
knew.
closing statement?
I never knew that not taking a like not taking a view one way or the other is a Weasley. Like this is being agnostic is like it's ubiquitous in the philosophical literature.
Okay. This is much like carnist being agnostic even when it comes to human values, right? Human moral values. They'll say that I don't know if it's wrong to rape a child, so that they'll avoid answering the question as to whether it's wrong to
Yeah,
rape
I
an
mean,
adult,
if
right?
they
This is
say
what
they
you're
don't,
doing pretty
I
much.
mean, if they say that they don't know if it's wrong to rape a child, then that's just a reductive on that view, right?
Yeah, and I can say the same about you, right? Like you're not taking a stance, you're being
Wait,
Weasley.
how
That's
is
my
what's the reductio
that's the
there?
reductio I'm taking here. That's the reductio I'm taking, right? Like that's the one I'm
You
observing
don't
that
even
you're
seem
being
to know what
absolutely
a reductio
disingenuous.
is. Do you know what a reductio
No,
is?
no, no. I'm just saying you are just being Weasley. That's my
Do you know what a reductio is?
finishing point here. It's just an entailment.
No.
What is it then?
A reductio is something which, if denied, entails a contradiction.
Okay.
Yeah, so how is that? How is me not taking
Yeah,
a view one way or the
which means
other?
it's an entailment of
Yeah,
sorts. It's an
no,
entailment of
oh,
sorts.
no,
Yeah,
no.
which if denied entails a
One sec.
contradiction. Otherwise,
It's
you have to
more
affirm it,
like it's
which
saying
means it's an entailment.
it's an entailment, but it's more to it than just being an entailment.
Okay,
It's
I just gave you a
it's
one-word synonym. Okay,
it's. I mean,
but go
it
ahead.
doesn't capture the concept because the essential
Sure,
part
sure.
of the concept is that negating it denies a contradiction.
Okay,
So just
okay, that's
calling
fine.
it an entailment is not sufficient to
Yeah, I
define
like
the
to be
concept.
concise. I don't like to just be
Yeah,
Weasley or
be concise
yeah.
by defining
Okay,
apples as red.
I could actually. No, I'm just asking for a symmetry breaker. You're not giving it.
Symmetry breaker
Okay, but
between
anyway, it's
what?
been 1 hour, and I just have this right. Like, so what will you do if if a trans woman wants to partake in a female sports like mixed martial arts?
It would depend on a variety of factors. Like I don't take a general view on it categorically.
Okay, convenient.
What do you mean
So
convenient?
no, is there any case? Is there any scenario where you would be against inclusion of a trans woman in female-only category sports like mixed martial arts, like women's mixed martial arts?
I'm sure there is, but I'm not sure if I can give you an example of it.
Okay, there is at least one scenario
Yeah,
where
it's
you are
possible.
against
It's
the inclusion.
possible that there is one scenario. Yeah, I grant that.
Okay. Um, Okay, that is I think a contradiction. Okay.
Okay,
You're
what's the
essentially,
contradiction?
yeah, by essentially denying the participation of a trans woman, at least one female uh, enterprise or institution or sports of some kind, you are essentially denying their gender affirmation. Okay,
How is that a
because if you
contradiction
truly
if my
believe,
antecedent
if you
claim
truly
wasn't
believe
a
they're a woman,
universal quantification?
wait, if you believe that they're truly a woman, you would have no problems with saying that they should be part of this institution or enterprise or women's sports of some kind, right?
No, it's
But
it's
you
it's
don't,
perfectly
right?
it's perfectly consistent to say yeah,
No.
they are a woman, and I wouldn't let them or something like that. What's the
Why
contradiction
would
in
you?
that?
On what basis? On what basis?
I mean, what's the contradiction? You made the claim that it's not, right? So
No,
what's the contradiction?
you said there is at least one scenario where you wouldn't be okay with the idea of a woman participating in I mean a trans woman participating in a woman only enterprise or institution. So on what basis would you deny that inclusion?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm like there could be myriad reasons which determine that. I just
Give me
said it's
one reason.
possible.
This is just being beastly, right? This is carnist saying there are many traits because of which I think animals have less moral worth than humans. You're just playing the same
Yeah, I
tactics
mean,
as
like
carnists.
I could give you some kind of example where,
Yeah, give
um,
me.
yeah, like it could be just that the person they attained significant advantage by virtue of them undergoing puberty, and yeah, something like that.
Okay.
I could
Um,
grant that they are women, and I could not let them compete in
yeah,
a
there
women
are
only
women in
sports.
mixed martial arts. There are trans women in mixed martial arts who have been beaten by biological women, right? There are many instances of biological women, at least a few handful of instances where biological women have
Mm-hmm.
triumphed over trans women. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
even though these trans women were literally wrecking other women, they've literally damaged the skulls of other biological women. Okay, this was the
Yeah,
case, but it's not like they themselves couldn't be beaten to the point of
I don't
complete
deny that.
humiliation, right? Yeah, so a biological woman could also possibly cause the same havoc or damage to a fellow biological woman, just like a trans woman could. So, by your logic, she should also be excluded, right? Because she also has the same advantages that a trans woman has.
No, not necessary. How does that follow?
Yeah, because you said the trans woman has some unfair advantages because of puberty or whatever, right?
Yeah, I mean, I just gave you some, like one of the criteria that I might be considering, right?
Okay, I'm saying that
Hmm.
is also true of a fellow biological woman. Would you exclude that woman also at that point?
If there was a woman who had like substantial advantage over other biological women in virtue of some biological process, is that what you're asking me?
Um, uh, uh, yeah, let's say I mean there are variations in women
There
also, right? Like
basically there is a
some women have
woman. Basically, there is
like
a
there is
woman.
like one person, there is this athlete called Caster Senmaya who had like high androgen levels and high testosterone levels, even though she was actually a biological woman, right? Like a biological female. So
Yeah, and
there are
did
scenarios.
that actually result in a substantial advantage in the sense that it
Yeah, it
increased
did.
muscle mass, bone density,
Yeah.
etc.?
See, but that's the point of sports, right? You want outliers. You want. It's like saying you shouldn't be playing basketball if you're taller than a certain
Okay,
height,
then
right?
why wouldn't you just allow men and women to compete together? Like, why wouldn't
No,
you just
because the argument for that would mean that there should be absolutely no categories, and that would mean
wait?
only the strongest and tallest would triumph.
Wait, what? I'm asking you, like, if that's what you're saying, then why wouldn't you
No,
just why
I'm
wouldn't you just
saying that
eliminate all the categories and just let men beat up women?
we do have categories based on. I mean, that would be unfair, right? That would mean that women would completely be eliminated from sports and most
Yeah, I mean that's
public
the same.
institutions.
This why would it be unfair? Like you said you want outliers and stuff like that, right?
No, but outliers as long as they have one shared property, like like being a biological female. That is what matters. As long as they have that particular trait, and if they have other advantages, and if they are outliers, I don't care.
I mean, yeah, like I don't care whether you care or not, but the point is
Okay.
that there is going to be a shared this thing with trans women. So there are trans women who
They're
are
going to have advantages like a trans woman would, but they have something a trans woman does not, which is the ability to produce female gametes if their reproductive systems were functional.
I don't see how that's relevant to punching each other.
It is. Because otherwise the whole concept of fairness in sports and gender separation would collapse, and you would literally have men fighting against women, and you want to prevent that. You want to have some semblance of fairness, so you allow for certain distinctions, right? Like certain distinctions, and you agree that there will be outliers, but trans women don't meet those categories, and you would agree to that.
Yeah, I'm sure there are some of them that don't, but there could be others that do.
No, I'm just asking you this. Do you think genetic outliers in any sports, let's say there's a very tall, strong biological female, right? Like she's super strong. She has the ability to produce female gametes, and otherwise she has like stereotypical masculine traits like big bulging muscles, tall stature, all of that, aggression, everything, right? Like someone like say Amanda Nunes in mixed martial arts right now. Do you think she should be excluded because she has the same advantages a trans individual would have in say sports like mixed martial arts?
If someone
A
just
trans woman
has
would
the
have.
same wait, what? Okay, so there is this one
So
person.
let's say,
Mhm.
yeah, there is a female competitor who is like a complete genetic outlier, but she's biologically female in the sense that she's able to produce female gametes if her reproductive systems were functional. And there is this trans woman who has the same biological advantages, unfair advantages. No, I wouldn't say unfair, right? She has the same advantages that this other outlier has. At this point, which one would you include and which one would you exclude?
Okay, so
Or
if
would you exclude both?
so if they're having the same advantages, yeah, I would exclude both. Yeah.
You would exclude both, even though one is a female.
Yeah.
Okay, so at that point, you are literally saying that women should not compete in women's sports. That's the entailment of what you just said.
What? How does that follow? You're
Okay,
just
yeah,
doing
if
a
you're not able to follow
universal
that-
quantification from an existential claim. What?
No. You said you would exclude a biological
Yeah,
female
I made
with,
an existential claim. Like I
certain
said,
advantages.
there is one situation, and then from that you're deriving a universal quantification.
No, you just said
what?
you literally said
That's just
no, you
that's
literally
just
said you would
invalid on
exclude a
so many
biological woman
levels.
from a woman's sports. You would exclude a biological woman from a woman's sports just because she has advantage. I mean, yeah, by that logic, you should exclude the tallest basketball player. You should exclude Usain Bolt from athletics. You should
No,
exclude
that
Don
that
Bradman's
doesn't
records from
follow.
cricket.
That
Yeah,
doesn't
it does
follow.
follow that because
Wait,
they
wait,
have
one
unfair
sec.
advantages, right?
One sec. So when I said there is this one case where I would exclude, how does that
Okay.
entail a universal quantification that women should not be
No,
allowed
because
in
there are
women's sports?
similar cases in literally every sports, right? If you take cricket, Don Bradman was like 2 or 3 standard deviations ahead of
Don't yeah
of his contemporaries.
don't
So would you
ramble,
take him out?
right? I
No, I'm
asked
not
you
rambling. It
I
just
asked you how an
you're just
existential
incapable.
I asked you how
You're just
you
incapable of following. You're just incapable of following the
I
entailments
just
of your own arguments.
yeah
because
I'm asking you
you're
how it
just,
entails, so you have to show me how it entails. I made an existential
you
claim.
just
You
said that
drew
you would exclude both. You would exclude
yeah you
a woman,
drew
a biological female with the same athletic advantages as a
yeah
trans woman
yeah
from
I that's an existential
women's
claim.
sports.
You made a universal quantification out of it.
No, why would you exclude a biological woman from women's sports? Just because she has advantages. You want athletes to have
Yeah,
advantages.
she
That's
has
how
she
the
has
the
advantages
world.
to an extent where I would
No, that's not
deem
that's
it
not what it
unfair.
is about. Okay, you want literally exceptional individuals, right? That's the purpose of sports. That's how it's entertaining. That's how it grows.
Wait, what's the entailment from the existential to the universal? I said there is
Because
this.
that same
Wait,
logic can be.
I'll just
No, no,
I'll
that
just show
same
you.
logic could be applied
I'll
to
just show you, right? I'll just show you what's the
Wait,
problem
one
with it.
second, one second. That logic could be applied to literally any sport, right? Because every sport has this one genetic
Yeah, I
outlier
mean, wait.
who belongs in that category by virtue of their biological sex or something, but then is a total outlier. It's like a total genetic outlier.
Yeah,
It's
I
a
mean
freak
there
in
is
every
going
way
to be
possible, right?
there is going
Michael
to be
Jordan.
some there's going to be some
Yeah,
threshold of advantage
the
that they
idea is
have.
essentially you should exclude Your argument is essentially that we should exclude, men or women from their respective categories just because they are too good at it.
I mean, wait, there is going to be some threshold of advantage that they have, beyond which I
How
would
do you
say
determine all that? How do you determine all that? How many standard deviations should be ahead of the rest for them to be excluded?
that's a different claim altogether.
No, you don't have any concrete answers, right? You're just babbling.
I don't.
things,
I mean, I don't have to
just
give you
like
a
that.
concrete answer because this is not an empirical
Of
debate.
course, right? Yeah, it's funny. Okay, you essentially said that
But wait,
a woman,
but let me
a biological
let
female
me
should be excluded.
let,
That's all.
let me wait. Again, you're saying the same thing, right? I made an existential claim.
Yeah, because you said
There exists X such that if X possesses these
Okay.
traits, then
Huh.
X should be excluded. From that, you derived a universal quantification that for all X,
Yeah, because
X should be included. If
Okay.
X is a woman, then X should be.
okay, what is the symmetry breaker there? What's the symmetry breaker again?
Wait, I mean, I don't have to give you a symmetry
Between some
breaker
other
because this is just formally invalid. This is just basic first order logic failure. It's just moving from an existential claim to a universal proposition.
Okay, let's not talk about mixed martial arts. Let's talk cricket. Let's say there is a biological female who is like an
I'm
extremely
not going to
fast
let you
bowler.
weasel out like that. You made an
No, I'm not
existential.
weaseling out.
You're
I'm
going
just
from
saying.
an
No,
existential.
since you're like
you're going
rolling back
from
on your
a-
argument, like
You're
no,
going
you
from
at
an
least okay. There's
existential
at least okay.
instantiation to a universal
I'm not weaseling out.
quantification.
I'm just saying there is at least one instance
Yeah,
where you would deny a biological woman participation in female sports,
yes.
even though she has not done anything unfair, right? She was just born that way. She is just trained to become that.
Yeah. So what's the problem with that?
Why? On what basis? On what basis would you deny that? That is,
I mean, that's just going to be tangential to whether or not.
it is irrelevant. It is relevant. It is absolutely relevant. And you saying it's tangential is just you weaseling out.
Wait.
Anyway, I think it's been more than an hour.
One sec. Like,
It's
yeah,
been
yeah.
more than an hour.
One sec. I'm not going to let you go from an existential claim to a universal quantification, right? So, either you concede that you went from an existential to a universal, which is like
No,
formally
I did
invalid.
that. I did that. But in every sport, right? In every sport, I'll find one
Yeah, I mean
player whom
that's
you
just
think you should
going to be
excluded like
yeah,
that.
that's just going to be tangential, right? Because it's just going to be an
No,
invalid.
that's not tangential.
It's just going to be an
That's
invalid
tangential.
inference.
Anytime you can argue something, anytime you can make a point, you say tangential. That's all.
Yeah,
That's
I
the problem
mean,
here.
like if you're going to go on tangents,
Because
of course, I'm going to
entailment
say
of
it's
what you said is
tangential.
that if a biological woman is if a biological female is too good at women's sport
No,
of
that's
any
that's
kind,
not the
she
entailment.
should be excluded.
That's
That's
not
literally
necessarily
what you said.
that's not necessarily the
You agreed to
entailment.
that on mixed martial arts mixed martial
Yeah,
arts.
well,
Why wouldn't you
so
agree with that
when you
when
say
it comes to other sports?
again, yeah, I think you're just like misrepresenting what I'm saying, right? So when I say when you so I said if they possess a set of traits and
Huh.
they have these advantages beyond a specific threshold, right? That's when
Okay.
I would exclude them. Now you're saying that if they're
Okay.
now you're
That's-
twisting that.
that's
you're,
frankly stupid.
I'll tell you.
That's frankly stupid.
You're being a dishonest fucker who's twisting that
No,
around to say
no. You're,
if
you're
they're
being
too
you're
good.
being a dishonest fuck. You're being a weasel. You're being a pedantic
Who's just
cunt.
saying like
and a cunt.
you're just twisting
No,
that.
but the thing is,
You're just twisting
I'm
what
not
I
twisting
said.
anything, right? I'm not twisting anything.
Yeah, of
okay,
course
okay.
you're
said that
you're
beyond a
literally
particular
changing what I
threshold.
said.
Wait.
Why
You said
why
beyond
don't
a
you
particular
just
threshold,
why
if
don't
they
you
have certain
why don't you
traits,
just say
if
what
they
I
have certain
said?
traits beyond a particular threshold,
Yeah.
you said
If they have a
now I'm representing. See, even if I had misrepresented you, it wasn't out of dishonesty. That's you, right? That's what you do. But I'm being honest here again. I'm trying to represent you correctly. I'm trying to steelman you. Listen carefully, okay? So you said if a biological female has advantages due to a combination of traits beyond a certain threshold, then you would exclude her from participating in women's sports. Okay?
Yeah, there exists X such that if X has an advantage beyond a specific threshold, then X should be excluded.
Okay.
So yeah, that's my view.
And I think that's frankly stupid because you want the limits in sports to be pushed. You want athletes to be better and better. Okay?
I mean, I
But
mean,
you also
I
need
don't
to
know
have
what you
meaning-
mean by stupid there. Like it seems like
Yeah, that's frankly stupid because you would want you don't want the standards of sports to go lower, right? Like with every generation, you want the records to be pushed even further, and that's going to happen only when you allow more and more outliers to come into the
when
scene,
you say
okay?
you would want,
And-
I don't have any such goal like that.
Okay, that's yeah. I would rather not live in your world. Okay, but that's beyond the point. What I'm trying to say is, we need athletes who will push the limits, but there also needs to be meaningful distinction between all the athletes, such that there is a equal representation of the sexes, and the only meaningful distinction possible is on the basis of biological sex. And if you
Yeah,
would
that's just
actually,
repeating the claim, right? When you say it's meaningful, what do you mean by that?
Otherwise, you'd only have literally men dominating all sports. The tallest and the strongest will dominate all the sports, pretty much.
I asked you what you mean by meaningful.
Yeah, meaningful is something that would have like women's representation in sports also.
Meaningful is women's representation. Wow, nice definition.
No, I'm saying women's representation in women's sports. So that
Yeah,
we
meaningful
just don't have
meaningful
sports where,
means women's representation in female sports. Okay.
no, I said
Yeah.
okay.
I mean, that's what you said, right?
Don't play gotcha.
I asked
Play
you.
gotcha. Yeah, you said you wouldn't allow women in women's sports. Okay?
I asked
you
I
said you
asked
wouldn't allow
you
women in
I
women's
asked
sports.
you
At
what
least
you
one
mean by
sport.
meaningful,
At
and
least
you're
one
giving
sport, you
me.
wouldn't allow women in women's sports. Okay.
I asked you
So,
what you mean by
then you-
meaningful, and you're saying meaningful
Yeah, by
is
meaningful, I said a significant representation. Yeah.
yeah. Meaningful
Otherwise,
means
like women would disappear from sports. If you didn't have these distinctions, meaningful distinctions, women would disappear
Yeah,
from
so
all
when-
sports.
when you say
right? Because only the
meaningful-
men would dominate.
Yeah, so when you say meaningful, okay, can you repeat the proposition
Okay,
with
so you
meaningful
got
again?
one gotcha, and you're gonna be like the TGN who would push down all the coins
can
and
you
claim victory.
can you
That's what
repeat
you're
the
trying.
proposition with the meaningful thing? Yeah, just
Okay, I'm
repeat.
just saying-
Repeat the proposition.
Okay. Okay, you said there is at least one scenario where you would exclude a biological female from women's sports because she has advantages beyond a certain threshold. Okay? I think that is frankly stupid, because the purpose of sports and athletics is to push the records even further and further.
Where is the
right? Like, we
meaningful
need
in this?
better records and all that.
I asked you
Yeah,
for the
and then-
proposition
but
where
then,
you use
once
the term
again,
meaningful.
Once again, I'm getting there. And then I said, but then we also need to have some relevant or meaningful distinctions between various groups, so that women can also have
Yeah,
participation
so
in
when
the
you say
sporting
meaningful
community.
distinction,
Otherwise, they would be completely erased.
yeah, when you
Otherwise,
say
they would be completely erased.
yeah, hold on. Yeah, so when you say meaningful distinction, you mean
Yeah.
women can you explain what
Meaningful
meaning?
distinction that will.
Can
that
you
will
explain
also
what
allow
meaningful
women
means
to
again?
Participate and win in some way. Okay.
Yeah, can you explain what meaningful means again? Let me just type that down. Meaningful distinction between.
Yeah, I said meaningful in the sense that
Yeah.
that'll allow women also to participate in sports and other institutions of the society, and excel at it, right? But if there
Meaningful
were none of these distinctions,
distinction means
dude, are you being,
allowing
annoying?
women.
Are you being really annoying?
Yeah,
Just out of.
what was the
Are you doing it
what was the
subconsciously or
definition?
just consciously? Are you doing it consciously or unconsciously
Wait,
that
what
you're being so
what did
annoying?
you so when I asked you what you mean by meaningful, what did you say again?
I said meaningful that would also allow women to partake in sports and other institutions in the society, which would otherwise be totally male dominated if not for these meaningful distinctions.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
but you are
Yeah. So when
making the case that
when
there
you
is at
say
least one case.
when you say meaningful distinction, you mean also allow women in other institutions distinction.
Okay.
That's just
I'm
gibberish.
sorry. What? Wait. Can you repeat that?
Yeah, you said meaningful distinction. I asked you what meaningful means.
Okay. Okay. Once again, meaningful distinction. The purpose of the meaningful distinction is to allow women to also partake in institutions
That's
of the
not what
society.
I
and
asked you.
enterprises of the
What
society.
I asked you what meaningful means. I didn't ask you what
Okay,
was the
meaningful
purpose.
distinction. Meaningful distinction is anything that would ensure, a distinction that would ensure that women are also represented. It's more like an instrumental thing.
What? An instrumental what?
Instrumental definition, right? Like the purpose of this distinction is its definition. That kind of a thing.
Wait, so when you say, okay, can you just repeat the entire proposition with the word meaningful in it? So that I get to know
Okay, so
what
this
the
guy is
actual...
back to formalizing.
No, I'm not
No,
formalizing.
I've,
I'm just taking...
you know,
I'm just taking the proposition
Okay, I'm
and
just
I'm
saying-
replacing the meaning
Okay,
of the
okay,
term
let
with the...
me give you a rundown of the whole thing, right? You said there is at least one scenario where you would exclude a biological female from partaking in women's sports because of advantages beyond a certain threshold, okay? And you would also exclude a trans woman, equivalent trans woman from that sports. right? That's what you said.
Yeah, there is one case like that. Yeah, sure. It's
Okay,
possible there
I'm
is one
saying
case
it's
like that.
frankly okay, I'm saying it's frankly stupid to exclude a biological female from women's sports. Okay, if a biological female won't play women's sports, I don't know who else should, right? Just because she has advantages that are, natural. You see, the entailment of that is that you literally go on chopping every woman, every top performer in
Yeah, I
every
don't
sporting
see how
category,
that
right? Or
follows.
at least in that category. That follows because if you take out the top performer in one sporting event, then you'll be forced to take a look at the next top performer who is like
Wait,
standing above the rest.
wait, how does that follow that the top performer needs to be taken out anyway? From my
Because you
view,
said
how does it follow that the top performer needs to be
from
taken
your
out?
view, where you said there is at least one scenario where you take out a top female performer from women's
No,
sports
that's not
just
what I
because she
said.
has undue. You take there is one female competitor
Yeah,
from
there I
women's
said.
sports
I'll repeat
if
what
she
I
has
said.
advantages beyond a certain threshold.
I'll repeat what I said. I said
Okay.
it's possible there is one case where
Okay.
if this person has um, advantages that are beyond a particular threshold, then
Okay.
I would exclude them. How does it follow that the top performer needs to be taken out?
Okay. And who decides that threshold? Because anybody could subjectively
Don't
argue
ask me
that this person
questions
is above the
instead of
threshold.
don't ask me questions instead
Yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
satisfying your burden.
Because that'll rattle your worldview. That'll rattle your frenzy worldview. That's the point here.
I don't. Well,
It's
I
just
don't
like
see how.
non-vegan.
So when you
It's just like
say
non-vegans
when you
It's like
say when you
carnist.
say
You sound like a carnist at this
hold
point.
on,
You sound
hold
like a
on,
carnist at this point who would argue that there
hold
are
on,
arbitrary lines in the sand that differentiate
hold
us from
on.
the animals that are like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what is like how does it follow that the top person needs to be taken
Yeah,
out
it doesn't
from the
follow,
view
dude.
that
Doesn't
that
follow.
there
I think
exists?
I'm done with the trans debate. It's 1.5 hours. I only had initially 1 hour allocated to it. Maybe if I feel like it, I'll probably call you for a second debate. But it's obvious that you are being extremely weaselly. What you said literally means a woman should be excluded from women's sport. A biological
No,
female should be excluded from women's sports. I think that's a bullet nobody would bite. That's a
don't be
bullet
a
bite.
dishonest
That's a bullet
person.
bite. No,
No,
I'm not being dishonest. I'm
that's
just
how. Yeah,
summarizing your
if
position.
you're going to just repeat it, if you're just going to repeat it, I'm not going to move away from it. So if you're going to repeat that there
Yeah, I
is
think
that universal
I think we should
instantiation
close.
from the
I think we should close this
existential.
debate. I think we should close this
Yeah,
debate. I think we should close this debate. I'll give my closing statements.
I'm not letting you weasel out, right? You are
No, I'm
repeating
not
the
weaseling
claim.
out. You are the one being weaselly by
You're
not taking
you're
any stances.
repeating
Being agnostic.
you're repeating you're repeating the claim that there is there is a
No,
universal
no. Did I not tell you
instantiation from
that
an
I
existential
have only 1 hour for
instantiation.
trans debate?
Yeah.
Did I not
So
tell you that I have only 1 hour
but I'm
initially?
not gonna let you. Yeah, I'm not gonna let you finish with a like a controversial claim.
No, you give your closing statement. I'll give my closing statement. Let's just move to the next topic.
No,
I
I'm
don't
not.
think we'll get anywhere.
I'm not gonna let you do that. So when you say when
What are
you
you going to
there
do?
is a move. Yeah.
What power do you have over me?
Yeah,
What power do you have over me?
when
Nothing,
you
right?
say there is going to be a
No,
yeah when you're
no. Give your closing statement. Whatever you say
Yeah,
right now, that'll be the
when
closing
you
statement on
say
trans debate. I'll give my closing
when
statement.
you
We'll move to the
say
next one. That's it.
when you say that there is going to be a universal instantiation from my view, I'm going to ask you what's the entailment.
Okay, so let's say in mixed martial arts, you have a female performer that is like significantly stronger and faster.
Yeah, show me
A female competitor.
Show me how an existential
Yeah,
proposition entails. Yeah,
I am. So if,
you're.
in
I
mixed
mean,
martial arts, if there is a
in the attempt of doing this, you're actually denying like basic fundamentals of first
What am I
order
denying?
logic. You're going from existential to universal quantifications. That's just like basic first order logic fail.
No, but
So-
every sport.
so
will have
when
a-
you're saying I'm
will have
going to
one competitor
derive
who
it-
has so much.
So when you say I'm
deny that? Do you deny that every sport? Do you deny that every sport will have one female competitor or one male competitor who is head and shoulders above the rest in performance?
head and
in
shoulders
their,
above the rest, maybe, but not necessarily beyond a threshold.
No, beyond the threshold. Okay, Don Bradman, for instance, was I think three standard
Yeah,
deviations above the rest, and
I'm
no
not
performer.
convinced that he is beyond the threshold.
No performer in any sports has been so many standard deviations above the second best in their sport. Okay, so Don Bradman, do you think Don Bradman's records should be struck off?
Yeah, is that in virtue of something biological necessarily?
Maybe. I mean, everything has a basis in biology, right? Like some genetic component might have helped him be better focused,
Yeah, so
see the ball
what?
better.
So
There are so many
why would I
traits, right?
think
Like,
that the genetic thing had to do like had the majority? Like, why would I think the
I mean, a
genetics
lot of things
did
are.
most of the work?
See, ultimately, everything is rooted in biology, right? Like every talent that you have, every skill you have is rooted in some
I'm
biological
not convinced
causal
that.
factor.
Yeah, I'm not convinced of that. That's not even a standard view in biology. It's a controversial view
No, it
in
is, right?
philosophy
Like
of
genetics,
biology.
genetics do play a significant advantage in sports, right? Let's take. I mean, if you take the example of Don Bradman, he had like exceptional eyesight. They used to say that he had exceptional eyesight. He had exceptional hand-eye coordination. So all of those are biological traits, right? Hand-eye coordination is a biological trait. Exceptional eyesight is a biological trait. Exceptional concentration
Yeah,
is a biological trait.
why would I think
So
that those did
everything has
majority
roots in
of the work
biology.
than just random chance?
No, what is it? Can you repeat that?
Yeah, why would I think that every instance of his ability was most of the work was being done by his genetics and not by other chance factors? So it could be a summation of
No, it could be
the
chance. I mean, genetics are chance. I'm not saying it's not chance. I'm just saying it is ultimately rooted in biology. Right? I mean, the fact that he
yeah,
got this biological disposition,
that's
that is
not even a
chance.
standard view in biology. So whatever.
Are you denying that all the traits that he had don't have any biological basis?
No, that's not what I'm saying. They could have biological basis with it
Okay.
being the fact that they weren't the sole determinants or even the majority of the determinants.
Okay. What else do you think determines things? Like what else made him lucky to that degree?
I don't know.
Same could be said for the one scenario where you were arguing.
Yeah, sure.
So why would you exclude that female performer then?
I mean, if it happens to be the case in that situation, then sure, like I wouldn't exclude it. But
Where okay, so you'd exclude wherever. So let's
yeah,
see if we can agree upon this.
there are cases where I would exclude, and there are cases where I wouldn't exclude. I don't see how you're drawing a
Okay.
universal quantification from that. I mean, this is just basic first order logic fail.
No, I would say that in every sport, if there is a female competitor who has advantages beyond a certain threshold because of her biology, you would exclude her. Is that a fair summation, a fair entailment
Can you repeat that?
of what you just said? In every sport, if there is a female competitor who has advantages beyond a certain threshold because of her biology, you would be for excluding her.
Yeah, you could say that. It's like
Okay, so
I would say that it is possible that there exists a woman who, or I should say biological female, whatever, a woman, biological female. You could use any of them. It's possible that there exists a biological female who has traits, who if has who has traits beyond a specific, which grant them an advantage beyond a specific threshold, in virtue of which
okay,
they should be excluded. Yeah, there would be some threshold.
okay. Okay, so that's just you saying. So essentially, while claiming that I made a first order logic fail or a mistake, you essentially affirmed what I was saying all along.
No,
Basically, in every sport, you would exclude a female who has
yeah.
biological advantages
How
that
does
confer
that follow?
advantages beyond a certain threshold.
How does that follow?
Okay, dude. Okay, so I think let's just end this. Let's get to other topics. This is not going anywhere.
I mean, you're free to run away, but okay.
No, I'm not running away. You're the one running. You're the one beasling out.
I'm not
This is
weaseling
my
out. I'm
Discord
right
server.
here. I'm not weaseling
No,
out
no,
at
yeah.
all.
Let's move to the other topic. Let's move to the other topic. If you want to move to the other topic, let me know. I'll just stay on mute until then.
Cool. I mean, yeah, you're choosing to flee, so it's okay. I don't care.
No, I'm not fleeing. Nobody's fleeing. It's just that some things, it's an exercise in futility, right? You're just absolutely retarded. You will not follow anything. You'll be
Yeah, I mean,
autistic.
I
And I'm
showed
not the
you
only
what's
person
the.
making this diagnostic, right?
I'm showing
I'm not
you.
making this diagnostic, right? Like
Yeah,
other debate competitors of
yeah, yeah.
yours, right? You debated this anti-natalist Lawrence
I'm,
Anton. He made the same analysis of you.
wait, hold on. I don't
Yeah,
care.
he made the same analysis of you.
I
He
don't,
literally requested you to be less autistic.
I don't
So,
care.
this is going nowhere.
I don't
I don't want
care.
this to go about the meta, but you're making it about meta, right? You're literally forcing me to make it
Some,
about the meta. I think we should just
some
move to other
retard is
topics.
muting me again. Who's that retard? Indisciplia, is that you?
No, you would be the retard.
Yeah, anyway, like I explained you exactly what the problem
see,
is.
here's the thing. No,
I explained you exactly what the
made you
problem
repeat.
is.
I made you then admit that you would be for excluding every female competitor in every sport who has advantages beyond a certain threshold, as long as those advantages are biologically conferred.
What?
You did affirm that statement, didn't you?
I said it's possible there exists one. I didn't say there is one.
Yeah, it is possible. That means if it is the case that there is a female competitor
it's
in every
possible
sport,
in the sense.
if it is the case,
It's possible doesn't
if it is the case,
what? It's possible doesn't entail that there is one.
Okay. I'm saying I'm not saying there is a case that. I'm saying if there is a case, or if there is a case that, or if it is the case that there is a female competitor in every sport who has advantages beyond a certain threshold due to biological factors, you would be for excluding them.
What? Can you repeat that?
If it is the case that there is a female competitor in literally every sport who has biologically conferred advantages that enable her to perform beyond a certain threshold over the other competitors, you would be for excluding that female from that sport, correct?
I mean, I don't take a view on that. I take a view on it being possible.
Okay. We'll just end it there. Okay, we'll just leave it for the audience to interpret. Okay, we are never gonna agree. You think I'm dishonest? I think you're like a fucking retarded cunt, pedantic cunt. So I think we should just move to something else.
I mean, it's I can
We'll
move on when you concede the first order logic fail. When you move
no,
from
I'm not conceding because.
Okay,
no.
so you're not conceding that you meant.
Why would I concede that?
You went from an.
See, we'll leave that to audience. Whether I had
no.
committed an error of first order logic.
You went from an existential claim to a universal instantiation. You don't think that's a first
because you
order
ended up
logic
affirming it anyway.
Wait, I didn't affirm it.
Yeah, if there is the case that there is a female competitor in every sport who has biologically conferred advantages which enable her to perform beyond a certain threshold,
I said
you will be for exclusion of that.
Yeah, I said it's possible that there exists.
Okay, it's possible, and in that case, what will you do with them? You'll exclude them, right? If you had the powers.
Wait, that's tangential to the universal instantiation.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, what would you do with a female competitor in women's sports who has advantages beyond a certain threshold?
Yeah, I'll tell you that after you concede that you went from an existential to a universal instantiation.
No, that's just you avoiding and trying to make it look like you had a gotcha moment. Right?
I mean, I do have a gotcha moment. It's a basic first order formal problem. Like you went from an existential to a universal quantification.
Nope, you don't.
I bet you don't even know what an existential instantiation is, and I also bet you don't know that a universal quantification
it's just you being an arrogant little cunt.
Which is why, like, I'm happy to explain it to you, but the problem you're not.
No, I don't need anything.
The reason why you don't see the problem is because you don't understand those things.
Nope, I don't want you to explain anything. We are moving to a different topic. That's it. This is gone. Okay, so I'll wait till. I'll wait for another 10 minutes. If you don't move to the next topic, I'm just closing the debate because I don't have all day to spend with you.
I'm not moving until I get. I'm not
you're
moving
the most
until
unpleasant person, and you literally make women drier than Sahara.
I am not moving until I have the concession that you went from.
No, you're not going to have any concession. You literally said you would exclude women from women's sports due to some conditions, just so you could be consistent with your true ideology.
That's dishonest. That's not me.
Just so you could be consistent with your true ideology.
That's not what I said.
Just so you could be consistent with your true ideology.
Again, you went
There's at least one scenario where you remove a woman from women's sports just because even though
how does that lead to a universal quantification?
Because the same logic can be applied to literally every sport.
Okay, wait. So you are saying that it is leading to a universal quantification, yes?
Yes. Because
then you're just moving from existential to universal, which is just a formal logic fail. It's a first order logic fail.
Is your logic not applicable to every sport? Is your logic not applicable to every sport?
I can show you exactly what
is your argument not applicable to every sport? Tell me that.
Yeah, I mean that's I don't
Let's
see
take
how
one.
that's I
Let's
don't
take
see how
sport by
that's
sport.
relevant to
Once
whether
again,
you.
once again, once again. If
I
you
don't
take
see
one
how
sport at a
that's
time, if you
relevant
take
to.
one sport at a time.
I don't see how
See,
that's
see, see. If you
relevant
take one
to.
sport at a time and
I
not
don't see how
once again,
that's
if you take one,
relevant to
dude, are you
going.
retarded? Just
Yeah,
stop for a second. Just stop for a second.
I don't see how
Just listen
that's.
for a second.
I don't
Just listen
see
for a
how that's
second. Just listen
relevant
for a
to
second.
moving
Just listen for a
from
second. Just
an
listen for a second. Just
existential
listen for a second.
instantiation to a
Just listen for a
universal.
second. Just listen for a
I
second. Just listen
don't
for a
see
second.
how that's
We
relevant
can
to
take one
you
sport at a
moving.
time. We can take one sport at
I
a time
don't
and
see
apply
how.
your logic.
I don't see how you. How I
Okay.
don't see how that's relevant to you
Okay.
moving from an
You
existential
want
to
to
a
talk organic
universal.
as carnist? Do you want to talk whether you should kill wildlife predators, or do you want to
I
be a
don't
cunt?
see how
You want to be a cunt?
that's.
You want to be a cunt, or do you want to be a,
I
or
don't
do you
see
want to
how
debate
that's
other topics?
relevant to moving from existentials to instantiation, universal instantiation.
Okay, but your logic is going to be applicable for literally every sport, right?
So you
Every
wait.
sport where
You made the claim that that an existential is leading to a universal. So that's just. I mean that's standardly
see,
invalid.
okay, so it is formally invalid.
Yeah.
Okay, formally
Moving.
invalid means it's a non sequitur, right? It's not always the case that is a conclusion, right?
Formally invalid means the premises can be true while the conclusion is false.
Okay, but the conclusion can be true, but not always, right?
Yeah, but I mean.
Okay. So the conclusion might be true, but not always. But okay, let's take one sport at a time.
The conclusion can be true, but not in virtue of the premises being true.
No, even if it is true because of the premises being true, but not all the times. It's like a Venn diagram. There is a small subset of conclusions that are true because of the premises being true, but for the large scenarios where the conclusion is not true, even though the premises are true.
It's just going to be like there are some
other possible outcomes, other possible conclusions. That's what it simply means. Okay.
No, that's not what it means. Validity is when if the premises are true, then the conclusion necessarily is true. Like the conclusion can be like you could have no, that's not soundness. Soundness is when you have true.
No, soundness is when the premises are true and conclusion follows from the premise.
No, that's not what soundness is. Soundness is when you have
validity.
Well, it's a combination of validity and true premises.
And true premises. Okay, yeah. So the conclusion follows from the premises and premises are true.
Yes, that's soundness.
Yeah, that is soundness. Yeah, so what I'm trying to say is...
So you're moving from an existential...
You're saying what I said is a non sequitur.
You're moving from an existential instantiation to a universal one.
Once again. You said what I said is a non sequitur, right?
Yeah, it's formally fallacious, yeah.
Okay, so let's take one sport at a time.
Are you trying to demonstrate how it's... Are you trying to demonstrate how it's possible for an existential to entail a universal?
I'm just saying the logic that you've used here, you say that you exclude a female competitor.
That's not answering
my question. Yeah, because I'm not going to answer your question. Okay, I'm not going to answer your question. Because you're not cooperating.
That's not answering
You're not cooperating
here.
Right?
I asked you, are you trying to say that it's possible for a universal, for an existential instantiation to entail a universal quantification? No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, let's take one sport at a time. I'm just saying, let's take one sport at a time. What's the purpose? What's the purpose of taking these one sports at a time? If that's not
I'm just saying, you do this infinite times, and literally every sport will have one female competitor who has advantage above the rest, which crosses a certain threshold, and which are biologically conferred.
Yeah, but if you're not saying that the existential entails the universal,
okay,
then I don't see.
You have 5 more minutes before we change the topic. Closing statements, and then we move on, or you go fuck off.
I mean, I don't see how you're saying that it's going from...
You don't cooperate because you know that you're like losing, right? That's what it comes down to. If you're so arrogant, if you wanted to kick my butt, let's move to the other topics.
Yeah, I mean,
come on.
Like I don't see how you're moving from...
Maybe we'll get back to this.
I'm
not
seeing how you're moving
but let's discuss the other topics.
Yeah, I'm not moving until you give me a concession.
We'll get back to the same point, okay? We'll get back to the same point after we finish the other two topics.
You're not gonna move me with...
Okay.
Without giving me a concession.
Fuck off then.
Yeah,
take all your junk Troon supporters, Troon fellators, and just fuck off from here.
Yeah, I mean, is that an admission of defeat?
Fuck off or change topic. Fuck off or change topic. We'll return to this topic. I'm giving you this much, okay? I'm just short on time. I don't want to spend all my time with you here. But
yeah, I mean,
we'll discuss other topics and then we'll get back to this.
You could just retract the claim that, yeah, it's not that...
No, I'm not going to retract it.
Existential instantiations entail universals.
Not always, but in this case it does. the argument that you just made. That's
Wait,
what I'm
so
saying.
there is one case where an existential entails a universal?
Sure, why not? The way I understand
I mean,
the way
so
I
you're
understand
saying
formal fallacies, the way I understand formal fallacies is that the premises don't always lead to the necessary conclusion, the stated conclusion. Okay, but then there
that's
are
not
conclusions
what
which are
formal
true.
fallacies are. You just don't have any idea what formal fallacies are.
No, I do have an understanding. It's just that the conclusion doesn't follow from the premise. It's a non sequitur, right?
Yeah, the
Do you think
universal
yeah,
instantiation
it's a
doesn't
non
follow
sequitur.
from the existential.
So a conclusion might be true independently. The premises might be true. That is but the conclusion need not follow from the premise. And if it doesn't follow from the premise, that means it's an unsound argument, right?
It's an invalid argument.
It's an invalid, formally invalid argument, unsound argument.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying here is, if we
Wait.
take,
Yeah. I mean,
uh,
if it's invalid, of course it's unsound.
yeah, so if we take sport by sport,
Yeah, but
it is the
you're
case.
just saying that it's possible
No,
for
if we
an
take sport by
existential
sport, like okay,
instantiation.
let's instead of mixed martial
Yeah,
arts, if we
so
take some other
you're
sport,
just saying that it's possible for an existential instantiation to entail a universal instantiation, right?
um, I'm agnostic on that. I don't think that is the
Oh,
case
you're agnostic.
because there are yeah. Wait, yeah, I'm agnostic on that. I don't know that.
Yeah, I just
I haven't
take
studied
that to
into it.
be yeah
I haven't looked into it. I haven't
yeah
looked into it.
I just
I haven't
take
looked
that
into
to
it,
be
so
a
I'm agnostic on that.
reductio. Anyway.
No, I haven't looked into it, so I just don't want to go into it.
Yeah, I mean this is just basic categorical logic fail. But okay.
No, okay, I don't know that. What are you gonna do?
I'm not gonna do
So are
anything.
you gonna move to a different topic? Are you
Sure.
gonna move to a different topic or no?
At this point I think we can. Sure.
Okay. Okay, so closing statements on trans issues. I just think that we wouldn't affirm any concept that is a weighted sum of bioessential traits like gender or species, or like sex or species or anything like that for that matter. So there is no reason to affirm that in the case of biological sex. Okay. No, I'm sorry. That's not the closing statement. The closing statement would be we would not affirm arbitrarily chosen weights when it comes to the weighted sum of bioessential traits in literally any case except for sex. So why do we do it in the case of biological sex? Why do we entertain a concept like gender in the first place? It's meaningless, and the only time it has any relevance it's when it corresponds directly to the biological sex of the individual in the question. And what is the real difference between a trans woman or a hyperfeminine man or a male or a trans man and a hypermasculine female? If the opponent were to say that it's subjective and it's Socrates paradox, then the same argument can be used by carnists to circumnavigate the name the trait argument and say that they don't know when the value is lost, moral value is lost between a human and a non-human animal, but they know a human when they see a human, when they know an animal when they see an animal, and therefore they know at which point they know which one has moral value and which one doesn't, right? They can say the same. Ultimately, all trans affirmation arguments are also something that carnists can use to justify carnism, and they could also justify they could also identify as something non-human, right? Like non-human as a concept, not as a biological entity, to justify their predatory behaviors. So I think affirming transgenderism it's dangerous for the society. It's not good, and it's not something we would do in any other case, right? Like we wouldn't affirm such concepts in any other case that is incongruent with the biological or bioessential realities. So to do that with biological sex and related concepts is also not justified. It's inconsistent. It's logically inconsistent. That's all. That's my closing statement. Do you have any closing statement you can give, and we can move to the next topic?
Yeah, the proposition was we shouldn't affirm the genders of trans people, and I had to like there's clearly not even a valid argument that has been presented in this debate, and clearly the interlocutor doesn't even know why it's formally invalid to move from existentials to universals, which just demonstrates basic confusion and lack of knowledge about any logic. And yeah, there's just basic errors which have been addressed many times. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Right, we can move to the next topic. Do you want to do organic as carnist or the other one, wildlife predators?
You can start with predators.
Okay, so I think we shouldn't. Okay, so the conditions I stated in which it would be justified to kill odd order predators is when let's assume that we live in a human vegan society where all the human beings are vegan, and in that case, if the humanity is being threatened by the existence of a predator that would kill vegans, yeah, in that case we would be justified kill those vegans by coming into vegan territory or human territory. In that case, we would be justified in killing those odd order predators and separating ourselves from those animals. Or, when it comes to protecting any companion animals that have become domesticated to the point where they live amongst us in parallel societies, yeah, we would be justified in protecting them. And also if there are any humans who are traveling from one place to another and then end up accidentally in the wilderness, in that case they would be justified in defending themselves using lethal force from these predatory animals. But if there is a human who just wants to go hiking and goes to risky forests, looking to get looking to experience the wilderness, and if that person gets hunted by a predatory animal, I don't think that person has a right to self-defense at that point, right? That person wouldn't be entitled to killing a predatory animal in self-defense. And I also don't think this entitlement applies to, I don't think we should hold or punish or take away the life of predatory animals or other predators if they prey on, wild herbivorous animals, so to speak. That is because if we are to be consistent with the argument that we should commit rights violation of the predatory animals to prevent further rights violation of herbivorous animals of the wild, then by that logic, we should also kill off all the herbivorous animals of the wild, because herbivorous animals of the wild also commit numerous rights violations. Since animals cannot give informed consent to each other, every sexual intercourse they have is a form of rape, right? By our standards, if we look at it in terms of rights violations, they cannot give informed consent. They may be able to give consent, but they may not be able to give. They're not able to give informed consent by our standards. So literally every sexual intercourse that happens in wilderness among herbivorous animals, that is a form of rape. So herbivorous animals are essentially committing rape. On top of that, herbivorous animals fight with each other. They trample each other. Zebras are known to be extremely cruel to each other. They kill the offspring of other zebras. Bison are known to attack humans. They are known to attack other bison. They're known to fight amongst themselves, which means that is an instantiation of assault, bodily assault, and battery, right? So herbivorous animals are also committing rights violations. So I think that if we are to be consistent with the argument that we should commit rights violations to prevent rights violations, then by that logic, we should also end up exterminating all wilderness, right? All sentient life in wilderness. That is the logical entailment of that. I'm pretty sure most people will find that a ridiculous bullet to bite, and nobody would want to exterminate all the herbivorous animals as well. So to be logically consistent, they need to answer a symmetry. They need to give a symmetry breaker between a carnivorous animal of the wild and a herbivorous animal of the wild. That would justify the double standards if they don't want to kill the herbivorous animals of the wild, right? If they cannot give such a symmetry breaker between a carnivorous animal of the wild and a herbivorous animal of the wild, it's better to. I think we are not justified in killing wild predators. That would be my argument.
Yeah, I mean, do you take it to be a rights violation to shoot predators?
Do I take it a rights violation to shoot predators? I take a more, okay, I call myself an animal rights activist, but I feel like
Is that a yes or
ultimately
is that a
we are
no?
more like. No, wait, I need to give some background into this, right? But I ultimately consider myself as
I
someone
don't
who
care about your background,
thinks.
right?
No, wait, you
Just
need
answer
to
the
listen. I
question.
consider more like it's a duty towards animals we have. So I don't think it's essentially a rights
Just
violation,
answer
but
the
it's a
question.
it's a neglect of duty. It's a neglect of duty. It's a
Is
neglect
it
of duty.
is it a rights violation or is it
It's
not
a
a rights
neglect of
violation?
duty.
That's not answering
It's
my
a
question. That's
neglect
just
of
a
duty that
category
we have
error.
towards animals. It's a neglect of duty. Yeah, so it's not a rights violation. It's a neglect of human duty
Okay,
towards
so
animals.
if someone shoots a predator, it's not a rights violation, right?
if someone shoots a predator, it's not a rights violation. But I mean, depending on the context, right? Like if they are shooting a predator that is attacking them, or the animals that they care for.
Someone just took a chopper, went into some African forest. They shot a lion. Is that a rights violation or no?
It's not a rights violation, but it's a neglect of duty.
Okay, so if it's not a rights violation, I don't see why I would care. Like, why shouldn't we shoot it?
But
It's
you're
not a
failing
rights
duty, right?
violation.
Like you have duties towards. If you fail duty, you can be held morally accountable for that.
Well, like I don't have any such concept of duty, so why would I even accept that it's a duty?
Okay, then okay. In that case, I'll just operate from your view, right? Like I'll just say it is a rights violation.
Well, I don't take it. So I mean, that's not going to be my view, right? I don't think it's a rights violation.
So if somebody goes and kills a herbivorous animal, would that be fine?
Yeah, that would be a rights violation.
Why would that be a rights violation and not the killing of a carnivorous animal?
Yeah, because for the same reason why shooting a random human it would be a rights violation, but shooting some sexual predator who is also a serial killer wouldn't be a rights violation.
That's disanalogous because the herbivorous animal is also a rights violator.
What's the argument for that?
I gave you the argument. Did you not listen in my opening statement?
No. I mean, I heard it, but I didn't detect an argument. I heard a
So
claim.
the argument is that herbivorous animals also commit rights violations whenever they copulate, because the animals that they copulate with cannot give informed consent. They may be able to give consent, but not informed consent. And then the herbivorous animals also
are you making the claim that
acts of aggression.
Are you making the claim that animals can't give informed consent?
Yes.
Okay, what's the argument for that?
Because animals don't have, informed consent is that which is rooted in enthusiastic understanding of the consequence. Enthusiastic, yes, along with understanding of all the consequences and liabilities that may follow.
Okay, how does that follow?
So animals cannot give that. Animals cannot understand what.
That's just repeating the claim. That's just begging the question.
No, that's not begging the question, right? Like that is the case, right? Definition of informed consent is that which is enthusiastic and which is also informed of all the consequences that may be associated with the act.
Yeah. So I asked you the argument for that, and your premise is that they can't.
No, I'm giving you the definition of informed consent because you asked what. Okay, I'm giving you the definition of informed consent, and animals cannot understand all the consequences associated.
Yeah,
with the particular act.
That's what I'm calling. That's what I'm saying is begging the question. You're just begging the question.
How is it begging the question? It's just a claim.
Yeah,
it's just a claim.
I mean, it's an argument.
Do you think animals understand? Do you think animals understand all the consequences associated with a particular act?
I don't.
Do you think animals can understand that they could get? Okay, so yeah, here's the problem.
But you're the one making the claim that they can't, right? So justify the claim.
I don't know. So by this logic,
no. What's the argument that
animals can give informed consent? Do you think animals can give informed consent?
I don't take a view on it.
I would say that regardless of. Okay, do you think children can give informed consent, or do you stay agnostic on that as well?
Some of them can. Some of them I don't think they can.
Oh, children can give informed consent. Wow, we have a sexual predator here.
What? Yeah, I'm sure. How does that follow? What?
Yeah, you are. I mean, yeah, I remember that you said you rape babies in some scenarios, but that's
no.
Okay.
I'm saying there are some
scenarios
children
where you
that
rape babies.
can.
That's okay.
Like if by children you just mean someone who is less than 18 years of age. I'm sure someone can, like, is in the sense that they understand the consequences. They can give it, but whether it is immoral or not, that's a different question.
Is it valid? Is it valid by your standards?
What's valid?
The consent, the informed consent that these children supposedly can give. Do you think that is valid for anything, for sexual purposes?
I don't know what you mean by valid.
Of course you don't.
So are you going to...
Really, you don't know what informed consent is, right? Like if you think children can give informed consent under certain circumstances.
Yeah, I mean there is like I'll explain in what I'll explain because you're being you're trying to extrapolate that. I'll just clarify what I mean by that. So when I say It's
No, let's
possible.
okay. Let me get
Yeah,
to this.
hold
Let me
on,
get. Do you
hold
think a
on,
2-year-old?
hold
No,
on,
wait. We don't have to explain anything. Do you think a 2-year-old
hold on,
2-year-old can give informed consent?
hold on, hold on. Yeah, so all I'm saying is, like, I'm sure there is one case where, if you just hypothetically, where there is this child who is just 18 years of age, but they have all the experiences and the mind of an adult. Yeah, that would be valid on my view. Like, if valid just means that
Okay. So okay.
whether
Do
it
you
would
think a
be,
2-year-old child can give informed consent?
can a 2-year-old child give informed consent? Yeah, I don't take a view on that.
Oh, that's convenient. Okay. I mean, if you cannot take a view on that, we cannot proceed any further. Let's move to the next topic.
I mean, you are the one making the claim, right? You're the one who's saying you
Yeah,
can't.
but we cannot. I'm at an impasse here because you're being a Weasley cunt that you are,
Yeah,
and you're
so
not taking any stances.
just
If you cannot answer, if you
justify the
cannot
claim.
answer that whether a 2-year-old, if you cannot answer whether a 2-year-old can give informed consent, there is no point. I think that's
Yeah, justify the claim that they.
reflective of you in a very poor light. That's reflective of you in a very poor light, possibly in a predatory way. But yeah, let's just go to
What?
next topic.
How, wait. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just like a bunch of personal attacks,
Yeah,
right?
you want to ambiguate consent by a 2-year-old by saying you don't take a stance on it.
What?
I think it's clear.
Me not taking a view on it doesn't mean like
Yeah,
any.
it is ambiguating it. Yeah.
What do you mean by ambiguating it?
Okay, so we cannot proceed on this debate, right? Like you have to answer this question, otherwise we can't. We'll just move to a different topic.
What do you mean by ambiguating?
I don't care to explain because you're not taking a stance on very basic questions
Why?
that we need to move forward to have a productive
Why
discussion.
would I? Yeah, I mean.
Next topic or bust. Next topic or bust.
Wait,
That's all.
why
I'm done
would
with
I
you.
have to take a view
Next
for
topic
you?
or bust.
Why
Next
would
topic
I
or bust.
why
Take
would
all your
I
take all your
why
trash
would
minions with you and
why
bust.
would
Fuck off.
why would I
Take all
need
your
to
trash
take a
minions with
view?
you from the server and fuck off, or move
Why
to the
would
next
I
topic.
take a
Or
view?
you answer the question,
Why would I
or
need
you
to
answer
take
the
a view
question
for
whether
you to justify
or
your
you answer
view?
the question whether a 2-year-old can give informed consent or not.
Why would I need to take a view
Can a
if
2-year-old give informed consent or not? Can a
why, I
2-year-old
already
give
told you I
informed
don't take
consent
a
or not?
view on it. So why would I
Of course,
need to
that's why
take
you
a
think it's okay to rape babies, right?
why would I
In some
need to take a
scenarios.
view for you to justify your burden, for you to satisfy your burden? It's your view, right?
Yeah, because
Your
I'm trying
views
to
are not
find common
contingent.
ground from which we can have.
Your
Yeah,
views
this
are
is
not
just like
contingent on my
this is just
views.
like Carney's. This is just like Carney's saying
I
why would
mean,
I have to take a take a stance on human rights?
hold on,
Why would I have to take a stance on human
hold
rights for you
on,
to justify animal rights?
hold on.
Why would I have to take a stance on human
You
rights to
take
justify animal rights?
hold
Just
on,
Carney's play these
hold
games,
on,
right? These
hold on.
dishonest games that Carneys play.
Hold on.
You're playing the same dishonest
You
games
made the
that
claim,
Carnists play.
right? You made the claim that animals can't give informed consent.
No, I said
Presumably,
animals cannot give informed consent.
yeah, that's what I said. They can't give
Yeah,
informed consent. That was your view, right? So
yeah.
presumably you arrived at that before I gave you my answer. So
Yeah,
I don't have to
because
I don't have to
okay.
take
Here
a
is the
view.
substantiating argument. Here is the substantiating
I don't
argument.
have to
Here is
take
the
a view
substantiating
for you
argument.
to justify your claim.
Okay, here is the substantiating argument, right? Like animals are cognitively at the levels of 1-year-olds and 2-year-old
What's
humans,
the
and just
argument
like
for that?
how. What do you mean? Like so many studies have been, have come out that suggest that animals are cognitively at that level. Pigs are as smart as a 3-year-old. That's what we hear, right? 3 to 5 years old. And just like how a 3-year-old or a 5-year-old cannot give informed consent, I don't think it's. I think we can inductively infer that animals also cannot give informed consent.
I don't see how that induction follows. Like, for inductive inferences,
Okay, it doesn't follow. Okay,
you need to have some
okay.
kind of observations, and based on that, you have some inductive inference. I don't see how.
Okay, so here's the thing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't
do
like
you-
if you are not able to.
Okay, that is irrelevant. Let me
substantiate-
circumnavigate that part. That's irrelevant.
Okay, so
The herbivorous. I'm not conceding anything. We are at an impasse.
Yeah, I
here,
just
okay?
take that to
I'm not
be.
conceding
I
anything,
just
we're
take that to
impasse.
be a concession, because you're just.
No, it is not a concession. It's just you being a pedantic little cunt who will be a Weasley slimy piece of shit that you are. Okay, that's what it is. But let's move to a different part of the argument. So it comes down to whether.
I mean, basically the informed consent thing falls apart, right?
Herbivorous animals do instantiate aggression against each other. That's a violation of bodily rights. That's a violation of. That's battery essentially. If you look at in human terms, that's just a battery, right?
Mm-hmm.
So herbivorous animals also commit rights violations, right? if you think it's justified to kill predatory animals because they commit rights violations, by that logic, you should also be killing off all the herbivorous animals because they also
Yeah,
commit rights violations.
just to be clear,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, so when I say that I don't take a view on it, is for. So when I say I don't take a view on.
I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I don't
Hold,
care. I'm not
hold
doing
on,
that.
hold on, right?
I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care.
So when I say that, some children can't give consent, and by some children I just mean that there is some hypothetical where a child has the mind of an adult
No,
or
that's
something
fine.
like that.
Okay, predator.
Yeah. So
We know that you would rape babies under certain scenarios, so that's fine.
yeah, I mean, like
We know-
that's just
yeah.
that's just going to be a misrepresentation of my view, right?
No, that's not a
All I'm
misrepresentation. You
saying,
want me to show the screenshot of you claiming that you would rape a baby in certain scenario?
yeah, like
Newborn?
if it
Yeah.
results in like infinite pleasure for infinite
Yeah,
galaxies
yeah.
of people, sure.
Yeah. Okay. So there is at least one scenario where you'd rape a baby as long as the threshold is sufficient. Threshold of utility is sufficiently high. Okay.
Yeah, but I mean,
Okay, Peter.
you're just
Peter.
misrepresenting me in the sense
Okay,
that
Peter. No, I'm
you're
not representing. I
yeah.
allowed
So
you to give the full context.
hold
I allowed
on,
you to give the full context.
hold
I
on,
allowed you to give the full context.
hold on,
I allowed you to give full context.
hold on,
I allowed you to give full
hold
context.
on, hold on.
I allowed you to give full context. I allowed
Yeah,
you to give full context.
I gave full context, but then you're chopping off
Yeah.
that context, and then you're just
No. I'm
saying
not. I'm
what
not giving it, right? I just allowed you. I haven't negated what you said.
Yeah,
just said,
I mean,
okay, there's at least one world where
yeah.
you would rape a baby,
Sure.
where the utility is sufficiently high.
Yeah.
Okay.
There is something like infinite galaxies
Okay.
of people.
Okay. No
if they
wonder
were
you have
being
problems
tortured.
answering. No wonder you have problems taking a stance on whether 2-year-olds can give informed consent. or not. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, when
But-
I'm saying hold on.
Yeah,
that's
okay. Once again.
hold on.
Do you understand? Do you think
hold
animals?
on,
Okay. Do you think
hold
animals
on.
have a concept of rights at all?
hold on. Yeah.
Okay.
So when I say when I say I don't take a view on it, that doesn't mean I don't have a view. I don't
Okay.
think they can give consent for all practical purposes, but I don't have to
Okay.
take that view for you to justify your
Okay,
view.
that's fine. That's relevant here. That's relevant here because debates are, we can have a debate or we can have somewhat of a discussion where we both take away chunks where we can refine our arguments. Okay. So if you want to do that, we have to reach a common ground. Okay. So we need to agree upon some common propositions and starting points. Okay. So do we have a starting point where we agree that 2-year-olds cannot give informed consent?
Sure.
Hello.
Yeah, I said sure.
Okay, that's nice. So, by extension of that, animals are also who are cognitively at the level of 2-year-olds and 3-year-olds. They also cannot give informed consent. They can give consent, yes, just like a 2-year-old would, but that's not informed consent. Can you agree to that statement?
No, I don't see how that follows.
Why does it not follow? Can you tell me where the error is, where it's not following?
Well, I'm not saying it doesn't follow. I'm not saying. I'm saying I don't see how it follows. I'm not seeing why
I think
one implies the other.
yeah, I think most sane people here would be able to make that follow, right? Make
That's
that
an
tracing of
empirical claim.
line of thought.
Nor
Yeah,
do
it's an
I-
empirical
nor do I-
claim. I'm
nor-
saying
nor do I
most people
care.
will agree.
Nor do I care what
Most people will agree
agree.
that animals cannot give informed consent. Okay.
So what?
So what? As in, like, if we have to reach a discussion common point or common
I
learning
mean,
goal
like,
that you
why
said you
why
cared
would I
for,
why would I take a
we need common.
why would I just accept a view?
Okay, you can stay
because-
agnostic about it, but here is my argument. Here, you can stay agnostic about it, but here is my argument. Animals cannot give informed consent, just like how 2-year-olds cannot give informed consent. Therefore, any and every sexual intercourse that animals have in the wild, herbivorous or carnivorous, they're essentially violating the rights of each other. If it's a female animal initiating the copulation act, it's the female animal that is violating the rights of the male animal. If it's the male animal initiating the copulation act, it's the male animal violating the rights of the female animal. So if you see the wildlife in terms of rights violations, every herbivorous animal and every carnivorous animal and every omnivorous animal, it's a rights violator and is a rights violator. And if you want to prevent rights violations by killing off
Yeah, I
herbivorous
just don't
carnivorous
see how that
animals,
follows.
by that logic, you should also kill off herbivorous animals. But if you reject killing off herbivorous animals, then you have a problem. What is the symmetry breaker between herbivorous animals and carnivorous animals? You can answer this, or you can say, I'm agnostic about this, I'm agnostic about that.
I mean, I can
But if
give you an
yeah,
answer, right? So the symmetry breaker between one and the other is it is pragmatically accessible to us to stop you know, herbivores mauling each other, where it's not pragmatically accessible for us to stop carnivores from killing herbivores.
No, it is not, right? Like, so even if you stop a particular herbivore from mauling and fighting or raping another herbivorous animal, chances are that action is going to repeat in the future, right? So you cannot ensure that.
Wait,
you
you
would
asked me for a
prevent all
symmetry
rights
breaker. I
violations in
gave you a
future.
symmetry breaker.
No, that is not a symmetry breaker. That's just a pragmatics issue.
So
That's just
when you
logistics issue. That's
wait,
not even a symmetry breaker.
wait, what?
No, I'm saying
Do you understand
you
what a
think it's
symmetry
pragmatic,
breaker
but it
is?
actually isn't. No, you think it is pragmatic, but it actually
Can you
isn't.
tell me what a
right?
symmetry breaker is?
It is something that differentiates the seeming double standard as to why the double standard is justified.
No, a symmetry breaker
No,
is
that's a symmetry breaker.
symmetry breaker is something in virtue of which you have an attitude towards one but not the other.
Yeah, that differentiates a double standard basically. That's what I said.
Yeah,
Okay? You're
something
just
in virtue
paraphrasing what I
of
said.
something in virtue of which you have one attitude towards one object and
One moral
another
proposition
attitude
and
towards
not the same attitude towards another moral proposition.
yeah. So
Okay?
the symmetry breaker is in one
Yeah, I
case
said
it's
that
pragmatically
that which differentiates two different scenarios.
yeah. I mean
to which
that's
you have
again. I can give you plenty more. I just
see,
gave
this
you
is
one.
the problem, right? You're being absolutely. Are you autistic? Are you on the spectrum? I'm not asking this in a derogatory way, but as a person who
Yeah,
is
I'm not
genuinely
interested in your
supposedly
rambling, right?
concerned.
Yeah, I'm not
Yeah,
interested.
you're not interested because
Yeah,
see,
I'm
you're
not
not going to be able
interested in
to achieve
you.
any
Yeah,
learning goals this way, right?
I'm
You
not.
claim to want to
I'm
learn. You claim to
I'm
want to
not.
care about the
I'm
truth.
not interested
You're not
in.
going to
I'm
get
not
anywhere.
interested in
You're not going to
your.
get anywhere
I'm not
if you're being
interested in
such a
your.
pedantic little cunt
I
with
am not.
semantics.
I'm not interested
You're
in
not
your
going to get
diagnosis.
anywhere if you're going to be such a
I
pedantic
am
little
not.
runt
I'm
and
not
a cunt
interested.
with semantics. Okay?
I am
Of course,
not
you're not
interested.
interested.
I'm not interested in
No,
your
I don't know
rambles.
how what you said made any difference, right? You
I'm.
just want to try to
Yeah,
one up the other person. That's
I'm
what you're
not.
here for.
I'm not interested.
Yeah.
I'm not interested
I
in
don't
your
know how.
diagnosis. I'm not
Okay.
interested in your
Okay.
rambles.
Let me get
Right?
back to the argument.
Yeah.
Of course you're
So
not, right? See. I don't know how what you said made any sense compared to what I said.
yeah,
You just said the same thing.
it's
Same with the
something.
reductio. Same with this. Same with the symmetry breaker. You're just trying to,
Yeah.
portray yourself as if you're this
Hold on.
knowledgeable person, but you are actually a
Hold on. Stop
very
rambling, dude. Stop. Stop
You're an
rambling.
insufferable,
Stop
incorrigible runt.
rambling.
Okay, you're an
Stop
insufferable,
rambling.
incorrigible runt.
Stop
No,
rambling.
that's the truth. Okay,
Stop.
but let me get to the
Stop
argument.
rambling.
Let me get to the
Stop
argument. Let me get to the
rambling.
argument. You see, you gave a
Yeah.
symmetry breaker
The,
that
yeah. It's
it's an
one.
issue of pragmatics. You said it's more pragmatic to kill off wild carnivorous animals than it is more pragmatic to prevent herbivores from mauling each other.
Yeah,
right?
that's one of the symmetry breakers. Yeah.
Okay, I reject that as a symmetry breaker because I
Wait, you're
think it
saying
is not
that's wait. What do you mean by you reject that as
not a symmetry breaker because I think it's not pragmatic. It is not pragmatic to prevent herbivores from mauling each other or fighting with each other. I mean, unless you put them in a cage for the rest of their lives and separate them from each other, there is no way you can ensure that they'll never
No, you
attack or violate the rights
so
of another
that means
herbivorous
it
animal.
is pragmatic, right? So there is some possibility where you could
I mean,
separate them out.
the same
and-
level of pragmatics is possible for wild carnivorous animals also.
No,
You can
what
put
are you
them all
gonna
in a
feed
cage.
them?
You can feed them, pre-synthesized protein-rich meals that
Do you
gives them all the
have that?
nutrients. You
Do
can
you
do that.
have that right now?
I mean, if you talk pragmatics, we can do all that.
Yeah,
okay?
show me a lion
Doesn't
diet.
matter if it's
Show
okay,
me
okay,
show me a
doesn't matter,
lion
doesn't
diet.
matter.
Show me a lion diet.
It doesn't matter, right? Like you can synthesize it if you want. Okay, lab meats are becoming a reality.
Show
okay?
yeah, show me.
FDA has given approval to wait. FDA has given approval to so many forms of lab meat. You can definitely do something like that.
Yeah,
Or
is
you
that
can feed them
like
dead herbivores animals
yeah,
which have died of
do you
natural
think
causes.
those
You can feed them
technologies
that.
have scaled to a point where it's it's you can feed like 20,000 lions?
I don't think that
I don't
there
even
is enough
think
technology to
I don't
trace.
I don't even
Wait,
think
wait,
the
wait. I don't
technology is
think
scaled
I
up
don't
to
think
feed
there is.
20,000
Wait,
humans.
wait. I don't think there is enough technology to trace all the herbivorous wild animals and cage them and prevent them from ever interacting with each other.
You don't actually have to do it.
And if you're going to say that it is it is pragmatic to cage all herbivorous animals in the future.
No, that's not
or
what I
now,
said.
that is a bullet bite in itself, because that's not the case.
That's not what I
And
said.
what you
So
say by pragmatic,
it's pragmatically possible to like stop those rights violations in a non-lethal manner.
how will you stop herbivorous animals from mauling any other herbivorous animal ever again?
Yeah, you could just. I mean, you could just like put them in a sanctuary, take care of them, etc.
If you're talking about one animal in isolation, yeah. So can you do with a lion?
Yeah, but what are you going to feed the lion? Like I have.
You can feed them, like I said. There are pre-digested meals, right? Like that give you the
Yeah,
nutrients directly.
show
This
me
is
a
something
lion
that
diet.
astronauts.
Yeah, show me a lion diet.
What do you mean, show me a lion? Okay, wait. Here. Listen to me. You can literally give them the nutrients in the form of injections, or you can just give them in the form of.
Yeah, show me what are you gonna.
No, just mix it with the water.
Show
Mix
me
it
what
with
you're
the
gonna
water.
feed a
Just
lion.
add a. I'm giving you, right? There are pre-digested meals.
Yeah, pre-digested meals.
It's not. I mean, yeah, there are pre-digested meals that are already just ready to be absorbed, right? It has protein. It has all the macro and micronutrients. You can just give it to the lion. That is also pragmatic.
What? Like you don't even.
So I don't think pragmatics is
you didn't give me.
breaker.
Yeah, I mean, like there are plenty of other things, right? So pragmatics is one
let's
thing.
go. Let's run by them.
Yeah,
Let's run by them.
it could be like it's firstly there are non-lethal ways to stop herbivores from mauling each other.
There are non-lethal ways to stop carnivores from killing herbivores too. Just shoot around the carnivorous animal, chase them away.
Yeah, and what are you
certain
gonna?
things you can use.
Yeah, and
fire.
what are they gonna eat?
Let them starve. Okay, but
Let
that's not right
so let so letting
let
them
them starve
starve.
for all I care. It's not a rights violation.
Let them
Yeah, it's not a rights
letting them
violation.
starve. Okay, so basically you're okay
No,
with
no, what
killing
I'm
them,
saying-
right?
okay,
so
wait.
Starve, let them starve and
What I said
die,
is-
but it's not okay to
Wait,
shoot them.
wait.
That's fine. Yeah, I agree. with that.
Wait.
Then it's fine.
Yeah, because you
I
care about
agree.
rights violation, right? You're perfectly fine with killing
Yeah,
animals or letting animals die as long as it's not a rights violation.
if you agree that we can just we can find some way to let lions starve to death, I don't care. Yeah, sure.
Wait,
I
if
don't
they
disagree with that.
if they cannot find any other source of nutrition, even if they wait. Here's the thing. I personally think unless we have feasible solutions like genetic modification of carnivorous animals, we shouldn't even be interfering in the wild. Okay?
Yeah, that's tangential. You said it's okay to starve them.
Yeah,
right?
that's not tangential, right?
You said it's
No,
okay
I
to
said
starve
even if
them.
they
I
starve-
agree with that.
They
Like,
already die of starvation. Almost all male lions pretty much die of starvation. Okay?
That's fine.
I just think
you said
I don't think that's a rights violation.
Yeah, I
personally
mean,
think that's not a rights
I don't
violation.
I don't see how it's much different from shooting them in the head and killing them instantly or like near instantly.
Okay,
than
so if
to,
somebody
like,
shoots
let
you in the
them-
head,
let them-
shoots you in the head, if somebody shoots you
Than letting
in the
them
head,
die
you think
like slowly.
you
of
think that's a rights
starvation.
violation? You think if somebody shoots you in the head, that's a rights violation?
Someone shoots me. Yeah, sure. That's it.
In the head.
That would be a rights
Okay.
violation.
Do you think if you're some by accident stranded in a place where you have literally no vegetation, no animals, nothing to survive off, and if you die of starvation, do you think that's a rights violation?
Yeah, if someone forced me to be in that situation, yes.
No, not forced. Somehow you on your own. Nobody forced, right? It's just nature. No agent forced you to do that. It's just nature. You find yourself.
What do you mean
in
by
a
nature?
place
Are you
where-
implying agent nature's
Just like
agency?
lions, how they find themselves in nature. Nobody forced them to be there. Nature just nature doesn't have agency.
Yeah, I mean,
right? So they
I'm
just
not
ended up
saying
there.
starvation is a rights violation anyway. But all I'm
Okay,
saying
okay.
is,
So do you think there is?
but if
you
you're
think
gonna
we-
shoot around them and make them starve, that would be a right. I mean, I don't take it to be a rights violation anyway. But
No, I'm just saying. I am
but
not
I
gonna
don't
shoot
I don't
around
disagree
them
with
to-
it. Yeah.
Once again, I'm
said
not
let them
shooting
starve.
around them. Yeah, they already do, right? I'm not doing anything about it. Lions
Yeah,
always,
you said-
most of the lions starve to
you
death.
you said
Most
you
of the
could-
male lions starve to death.
You said you could shoot around them and then you said let them starve, right? Yeah, I don't disagree
Because
with
they're
that.
all-
I just think
because they're already starving.
shooting them is
No, I'm just
much.
saying-
I just
Wait,
think
I'm
shooting
not
them is
gonna-
much preferable to
once
letting
again.
them starve slowly.
No. Once again, I'm not the one going to be shooting around them to save herbivorous animals in the wild, right? Because I think it is not for me to save them. There is no
I don't know
feasible,
what
there
you
is no
mean
feasible
by
ethical
it's not
solution
for
there,
me.
right? There is no feasible ethical solution there. So inaction is preferred. That's my argument. right? I am of the opinion that we should not even be interfering in the life of wild unless we could genetically modify them and turn all of them herbivorous and control their population rates through
Why
chemical castration or chemical
why would anyone
contraception.
accept that? Why would it be? Why shouldn't we interfere in the wild?
Because either way you are because if you are to be consistent with the interference and if you are to be consistent with the standards based on which you're killing off carnivores, you should also kill off the herbivores.
I don't see how that follows.
It follows because but you don't see it because you're dumb.
Yeah, show me the entailment.
Yeah, because you kill wild carnivorous animals because they violate the rights of others, but then so do the herbivores. If you think it's pragmatic to prevent herbivores from violating each other, then the same level of pragmatics
Wait,
can also be
okay,
applied to lions.
tell me this, okay? Do you think it's okay to shoot like a serial killer?
Is it okay to shoot and kill a serial killer? Serial killer that is killing humans,
Yeah.
right? Yes, it is.
It is ethical, right? But
And
then
it is also okay to kill a lion that is killing humans, yes. Vegan, assuming the humans are vegans, yeah.
yeah, so like but then you're also saying that it's not okay to shoot lions.
Okay, so here's a difference, right? Like, it's not okay to shoot lions when they kill herbivorous animals because there is a symmetry breaker there
What's the symmetry breaker?
between humans and human vegans and herbivorous animals of the wild. Because the vegan humans can understand social contracts and respect the rights of others. Herbivorous animals of the wild cannot do that.
Okay, wait.
So
So
I'm okay with
if
them.
the vegan humans couldn't understand social contracts, it would be okay to let the lion kill them.
It would mean that we should try to restrain them and prevent them from
No, that's
harming
not
us or
answering
something
my
like
question.
that,
I
right?
asked you if it would be bad if someone shot the lion to prevent them from killing the not the socially um, disabled humans, vegan humans.
Okay, if a socially disabled human were to
Is that a yes
socially
or is
disabled
that a
human
no?
that cannot, no, it's a no, it's a no.
Then I would
Because
just
let me give you this.
wait. So
No, it's not a contradiction.
no. Wait. So you're saying it's okay.
Okay. Huh.
Let me get that straight. So
Yeah. Okay.
so in the
Go ahead.
case where it's a vegan human with social without social disability, you're saying
Huh.
it's okay or is it not okay to shoot the lion?
Can you repeat that? I'm sorry, I just zoned out for a second.
Yeah, so there are vegan humans who are going to be killed by a lion. Now someone comes up and shoots the lion.
There are vegan humans who are going to be killed by a lion. Okay, then.
Yeah, someone comes up and shoots the lion. Do you think they did something bad?
No. I mean, they did something that is necessary. Yeah. So no.
Okay, so then they didn't do anything bad by shooting the lion, right? Now we have socially
And
disabled.
a lion that barged into wait. A lion that barged into human territory. Yes. Vegan human territory. Yeah.
Well, we could. I mean, I could stipulate that. Let's say there was there was an island where these lions and these humans they just co-evolved or something like that.
Okay.
So there is no clear demarcation of territory there. So do you think
Okay.
it would be okay? Like, do you think it would be bad if someone shot the lion to save the humans in that case, the vegan humans?
No, it is. It is not because by having a clear demarcation is how you prevent more rights violations. If they actually coexisted and if there wasn't a clear demarcation, that would just
It's.
spiral out
I
of control
mean,
and there would
it's
be
not. It wouldn't be
perpetual.
coexistence even on an ecological definition because coexistence implies some kind of mutualism.
Okay, let's. I'm
right?
just granting this, right? Like,
predation is like
see, if vegan
just
humans,
ecologically classified as a form of parasitism.
right? I'm just gonna say this, right? Like, if there is a community of human vegans, they are entitled to protect their property and their lives from any predatory animal
No,
that is trying to attack them.
That's not interacting with what I'm asking you, right? So there is.
Yeah. So, okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So there is this. Basically, there's a bunch of humans, and there is a bunch of predators. It doesn't have to be lion. It could be any kind of odd order predator. And they have like co-evolved, and they have just existed there since forever. and someone just
Okay.
takes a helicopter, takes a sniper rifle, and shoots the lion. I should say shoot the predator. Do you think they did something bad?
And you said there is no clear demarcation of territory, right?
Yeah, yeah.
In that case, for the purposes of achieving a demarcated territory, it would be justified,
What?
assuming the humans themselves are vegans.
No, it's just some other person. Like it's not those people killing the lion. It's just someone else, maybe me,
Huh.
who's taking a helicopter and shooting the
Okay.
predator. Do you think I did something bad?
Let me think. I mean, like it depends, right? If you have a social contract, an implicit agreement of some kind, or an explicit
No, there
agreement of some
isn't
kind
any.
with a
There
population
isn't
of humans.
anything like that. I don't have a social contract with them, and I don't have anything like that. Maybe I have some kind of
See, but that's the
appreciation for them, but that's
no, no,
just
no. That's
strictly
but that's the
personal.
point, right? Like, but that's the point, right? Like, if you say they are humans, unless you would want to stipulate that they're also socially disabled vegans.
Yeah, I'm stipulating that.
Are you stipulating that?
Yeah, I am.
So in that case, I would say, yeah, you did something wrong by shooting those lions.
Yeah, I mean, we just have different values in that case because I don't see anything wrong with shooting a predator to save socially disabled humans. Vegan humans.
No, but because I'm just saying, by that logic, you should also kill the herbivores if you have to be consistent with your value system.
Yeah, I don't see what's the contradiction.
Because herbivores also violate rights. You're okay with herbivores violating rights, but not with carnivores violating rights. Pragmatically,
Yeah, I mean,
pragmatics are
there
ultimately
is.
subjective,
I
right?
mean, it's going to be like there is going to like the reason I asked you before was like if you think it's going to be justified for me to shoot a serial killer. From that, I can based on what you're saying, I can use the same line of reasoning and infer that it's okay to just walk randomly on the road and shoot people because, well, even people kill each other even if they are not serial killers, right? So I should just randomly go and kill them.
No, how is that an entailment? That's not.
Yeah, I mean, you're saying it's okay for me to. It's not okay for me to shoot the lion. And wait one sec. I lost my train of thought. But anyway, whatever I was saying is that in one case, you're saying you're saying it's the entailment is that you should shoot herbivores. But I'm saying that that
No,
would just
I'm saying if you were to shoot carnivores, then to be logically consistent, you should also shoot herbivores. But if you wouldn't shoot herbivores,
yeah. I
and
mean
if you
there
would
is
shoot carnivores, then there is a
there is
double standard.
yeah. So one symmetry breaker is that a carnivore is most certainly going to violate the rights of a herbivore, but that's not true of a herbivore.
No, a herbivore is also most certainly going to violate the rights of some other herbivore or some other animal,
I
right?
mean
Because
that's an
see,
empirical
ultimately
claim.
the wild,
So that's
no,
going
in
to
the
be an
wild,
empirical
they're all.
claim. So
That's not
you
an
need to
empirical claim. That's, I
you
mean,
need
that
to
is
show
just like the.
for that claim to be true. You need to show me like a census of all the wild animals, wild herbivores that exist, and show me that more than 50% of them, or some percentage like that, have mauled each other or something like that. Mauled each
Okay,
other to
you
to
would say,
some appreciable degree, like in the sense that to at least like some level of lethality or disability or cause to the other.
so it's basically you're basically saying that it doesn't meet your threshold. The rights violations committed by herbivores doesn't meet your threshold, whereas the rights violations committed by
Threshold of
carnivores
likelihood.
exceed your threshold.
Yeah, threshold of likelihood.
Threshold of likelihood, or just threshold of negative attitude that you have for it. I think it's both, the combination of both.
It could be it could be a mix of both. So in the sense that I know that predator predators like tigers
So
are most certainly going to kill herbivores because that's literally how they survive. They kill and eat
yeah,
herbivores.
okay,
But I
okay.
don't see how a given herbivore is guaranteed to kill another herbivore. So that's just going to be an empirical claim.
I mean, I would say that that is also. I mean, that is not necessarily an empirical claim, right? Like it is. I mean, you can chart it as an empirical claim, but that's just you being, I would say, uncharitable and beastly, because it's obvious that an animal that does not understand the concept of rights is going to end up doing something, fighting for a mate or fighting for food, or
I mean,
just
yeah,
some
again,
contact is going to result in rights violations.
again, that's just like repeating the claim, right? I'm not convinced
That's just
that
repeating. It might seem that way. It might seem that way,
I'm not
but the
convinced that
likelihood of that is
herbivores
also
are.
extremely high.
Yeah, I'm not convinced
Let's
that
say a herbivore that
herbivores.
a bison that lives for say 10 years or 20 years is definitely violating the rights of some other bison, or you know what do you say, um, mauling a human that comes too close. Something of that sort is happening, right? Every animal, even the domesticated animals that we have, like companion animals like dogs, cats, they scratch you, they bite you. It's just that we're able to tolerate it, right? That's the only difference. Even they violate the rights. They don't understand rights from the day one. They don't understand your social contracts from day one. It's just
I
that
mean,
we're
that
able
all
to
that is
tolerate
just
it, and
repeating the claim, right?
so it is given that animals will end up violating rights if we see them from the perspective of rights.
Yeah, I don't see
If
how.
you see
I don't
wild
see
animals
why
from the
that's true.
no, it is a
That's
clear
an
entailment. Do you think
it's an empirical
you
claim.
have a cat? You have a cat. You have a cat. Has your cat never scratched you?
Yeah, he has.
He has. That's a rights violation. If you go and scratch some random human, you're committing battery, right? It's called battery. It's a bodily assault.
Hmm.
So your cat has committed bodily assault on you. You're tolerating it because it's within the threshold of tolerance. But that doesn't change the fact
Yeah,
that your
and
companion
there
animal has
is.
committed rights violation.
Yeah, so it's a mix again,
So it's
as
not
you. Yeah,
it's not a threshold of likelihood. It's just a
it's
threshold
a
of attitude. Just something. Just say it's a threshold of attitude.
it's a mix of the likelihood. Like there are plenty of
No,
things.
but we
It's
dealt
a
with the likelihood
the
part, right?
frequency,
We just dealt with the likelihood
the
part. We
frequency,
just
the
dealt with the likelihood part.
likelihood. All of these things are considered.
No, once it doesn't matter, right? Like frequency is not irrelevant. It does happen. Animals do violate our rights because they don't understand the concept of rights. They don't understand it.
No,
It's
I
just
mean,
social
yeah,
conditioning
I'm
for them.
not granting that a given herbivore is guaranteed to commit a rights violation.
I mean, that's just ridiculous because every animal that we have, you can see it from every companion animal we have. They have bitten us, they have scratched us, they've done
So
something to us that is
how does
painful.
it
We just
follow?
tolerated it.
How does it follow that
It follows that
every
herbivorous animals of
herbivore?
the wild who are it follows that herbivorous animals of the wild who are more conditioned to be more aggressive owing to
Yeah,
the
how
nature
does
of
it
wild
follow?
life in the wild. They will definitely end up violating rights one way
Yeah,
or the other.
how does
Okay.
that follow?
I mean, if you're not going to agree on that, we cannot proceed. I don't know
Yeah,
what to say.
of course, I'm not gonna. I mean, it's an empirical claim.
Okay, I
You're
think that's an
you're
impasse. That's an impasse.
you're making.
That's an impasse. I think if you were reasonable, you know where this is leading. You know that you cannot provide a symmetry breaker.
I mean,
Therefore, you're just saying that
I
there
gave
is
you the
some
symmetry
benefit of
breaker.
doubt. There is
I
some benefit of doubt that
I
we need
gave
to
you
give
the symmetry
herbivores.
breaker.
That's what you're
The
trying to say.
symmetry breaker is that in
No,
one case it's clear that there is what the individual is guaranteed to kill another individual, whereas that's not clear in the herbivorous case.
no, it is clear. I'm arguing that it is clear that even in the herbivore's
Yeah,
case, especially a wild herbivore's
I'm not
case,
seeing the evidence for that.
no, there is evidence, right? Like I've given you evidence, and you can infer
Yeah,
through induction,
show
right?
me.
Like
Yeah,
we can infer through induction that even if your companion animals that you have, if even if they
yeah.
are violating your rights,
So
they're
you
committing
have a
directly on
weak
you.
induction in that case.
No. There is. It doesn't matter, but it's a valid induction, right? If you can, if
Well,
your companion, if you
in
agree that even your companion
technically
animal that is just 1 year old or less than 1 year old has committed rights violation,
technically
a
inductions are
wild
not
herbivorous
valid.
animal. Okay, then we'll have to go
Yeah,
back to
and
solipsism at that point, right?
no,
We won't even be able to establish each other's consciousness or sentience
no.
for that
Like
matter.
if you're going
We
from
have to.
no, that doesn't follow.
No, that would be the that is only inductively known. You cannot deductively know that you are sentient or
No,
I'm sentient for that
all. I
matter.
mean, if there is going to be a valid inference, it has to be deductive.
Okay, it doesn't matter. Okay, in this case, it's just inductive. So what?
Yeah, I mean, if it's inductive, unless it's put in a deductive form, I don't think it's valid.
Uh,
The conclusion,
Let
like,
me see if I can do that.
is just possible for the cat scratching to be true.
Okay, no, it doesn't matter. Okay, so here's the thing, right? Like, you did eventually. Did you agree that animals cannot give informed consent?
Yeah, I don't take a view on it.
Convenient, because you know, right? Like, if you say that, then every copulation in the animal kingdom, whether it's committed by herbivores or not, it is rape.
I mean, I don't see why
That's a
that
rights
would
violation
follow.
committed by herbivores.
What?
What do you mean, what?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see how, um, like, yeah, I don't necessarily take it to be the case that um, all the copulation that happens in the wild is rape.
If it is rape, because animals cannot give informed consent.
That I mean, that's just repeating the claim.
No, it is. It is the case. Can animals give informed consent?
Don't ask me. I don't take a view on it. You satisfy your burden.
Convenient. That's convenient. No, but we do need to have common ground somewhere, right? Do you agree that, just like you agreed that humans, 2-year-old cannot give informed consent for practical purposes? Do you think an animal can give informed consent for practical purposes? Do you think it would be a rights violation for a human to go and fuck an herbivorous animal? Let's see if you can answer that.
Whether it would be unethical for, yeah, it would be.
Why?
Why? I just construe rights violations such that there is some, for instance, I would just construe them as some kind of rule violation, and the rules, yeah, I have a deontic rule against raping animals.
Why?
What do you mean why?
Is that just
Why do I have a
just an
rule?
arbitrary preference? Just an arbitrary preference?
Yeah, if by
Okay,
rule you just
let me
mean,
change the hypothetical. Do you think, let's say, you're mentally wired to be sexually attracted to animals. Do you think it would be moral for you to go and stimulate the genitals of a herbivorous animal in the wild and have sex with that animal? As long as you don't harm the animal or, like violently constrain and force and rape the animal.
wait, what if by morally wrong you just mean if I prefer it, then it would depend on who it is indexed to. Is it
No,
indexed
you're
to me?
wired for it.
Yeah, if it's
Like
if
when you
it's
think about the
indexed,
idea.
yeah, if it's
No,
indexed
the
to
very
me as
ideation.
in, yeah, hold on. If
No,
it's
Aputa, listen. If the very ideation of having sex with a wild herbivorous animal turns you on, do you think it would be morally justified of you or for you to go and have to stimulate the genitals of a herbivorous animal and have sex with that animal?
yeah, if morally justified
You're
just
not
means if
you're
I
not
have
restraining
that
that animal.
preference.
You're not restraining that animal. You're not forcing anything. You're just
Yeah,
you
yeah,
stimulated the animal. Now the
I
animal
get
is
the
also
question,
sexually
right?
excited, and now you're doing it.
Yeah, yeah. So
Okay. Do you
if
think it would
by,
be moral or immoral for you to have sex with that animal?
yeah, if by moral you just mean if I have that preference, if in that situation, then yes, in that situation I would have the preference. But if you're indexing that to my current preferences, then I don't have that preference.
Okay. So you're saying that if you prefer it, it's moral. If you don't prefer it, it's immoral. Okay, that's what it comes
No,
down
that's
to.
not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is when I use the term moral, I just mean I prefer it.
Okay, so your post hoc reasoning, right? That's what it comes down to. You have a certain preference, and morality as a concept is just post hoc reasoning for that.
No, all I'm saying is that when I'm using the term moral and immoral, I just
Okay.
understand those concepts as reporting on my preferences. I don't take a
Yeah.
realist
Okay.
view.
Okay. So you have a biological preference. You are turned on by the idea of having sex with an animal, like a herbivorous wild animal. You have a biological preference for it. And many of our, if you look at some research into morality is ultimately used as a post hoc reasoning tool in many cases, right? Like carnists do this all the time. They have a natural preference for animal flesh, and then they'll come with reasoning, post hoc reasoning, to justify their preference for animal flesh. So now let's say you have a biological preference for having sex with animals. At that point, do you think it would be morally justified for you just because you have a preference for it?
Yeah, if by morally justified you mean I have that preference, then in that situation I would have that preference. Yeah.
Okay. That's just a ridiculous bullet point for me because
How is
even
that?
if I had such a biological even if I had such a biological preference, I would still consider it as a
I mean,
not justified.
so
Okay.
what you're saying is that, um, Yeah,
No,
and what you're
I'm asking all these
like
questions.
you're
I'm asking all
changing the
these
subject,
questions.
right? Like you're changing the
No, I'm not
subject
changing the
to which
subject.
no subject as in you're changing the subject to which the preferences are indexed. So yeah, the preferences are indexed too. Because when you're saying that even if I had that preference, you're talking about that subject, but then the indexing of that uh, preference is to you, to your current preferences.
If you were to argue like that, literally all hypotheticals are meaningless because all the hypotheticals are ultimately indexed to you, your current you.
Yeah, I mean, all I'm saying is, if you're saying that, yeah, even if I have that preference, it wouldn't be immoral. I think you're just equivocating on the preference here, because in one case, the preference is indexed to the one who is attracted to the animal, but then when you're saying it's immoral, that preference is indexed to your current preferences. It's not indexed to the other preference.
So, okay, let's say the current me is hypothetically attracted to animals.
Mm-hmm.
I would still consider it immoral to have sex with them. But
Okay,
you're saying if your current you
what do you
was,
mean by immoral in that sense then?
I would consider it, I would have a negative attitude towards it.
So
Like,
so you're
see, I
saying
could
you
have
have a
like,
preference and you don't have a preference. That sounds like a contradiction to me.
uh, no, it is possible, right? Like there are situations where you want something, but at the same time you choose not to pursue it.
Wait, but wait, did you actually use the term negative attitude?
Some form of negative attitude, right?
Well,
Negative
that seems like a
approach,
subjectivist
negative attitude.
usage. That seems like a subjectivist usage to me. That's not a realist usage at all.
I mean,
I
if
didn't
you
know you
want
were a
to go,
subjectivist.
wait. No, wait. You could have notions of morality that are realist, and you can also have subjective approaches to it, right? You can have subjective feelings about it, right? Like, for instance, adultery might be wrong in a religion I subscribe to, but at the same time, I might have a lenient view of it or a more harsher view of it, right? I might
Yeah,
have,
so what do you
a
mean
dairy
by
consumption might be. Wait. I'm just see that there is a ethical code, and then there is a morality, and ultimately this conversation is tangential. This is what it means to be in a tangential discussion. Okay, now we are going into subjectivism versus realism, moral
No,
realism.
it's relevant because we are
No, it
talking
is not
about.
relevant.
It is relevant because when you're talking about like you're talking about whether a hypothetical version of me
No,
having a
wait.
preference and asking me
Once
if
again,
it's morally
I
justified,
don't know if
right?
you watched. I don't know if you watched the recent Vegan Gains' stream, where he talked about how he wanted to kill a guy who was bullying him and being racist towards him. But then, and he said he almost had the chance to. He could have just pushed him off the rails of the roof of his school or something,
Mm-hmm.
but he chose not to. Right? So
Mm-hmm.
he had a strong inclination to kill this guy, but then he overpowered that strong inclination to not do so. So it is possible to have a biological wiring or preference for something, and also using your moral judgment to override that preference. That's what I'm
I
trying
mean,
to
that
say.
just means that there is some countervailing preference which is valued more than the other one. So he
That's fine,
just
but that doesn't mean that you haven't had the underlying wiring, right?
what? I mean, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm
No,
talking.
wait. I'm just asking you. Okay, so this has just gone way too far off topic. I just asked you a simple question. Let's say you had the biological impulse for having sex with animals.
Mm-hmm.
Would you consider it moral in your current? Okay, let's hypothetically grant that you have this predilection towards having sex with animals. Would you go ahead and have sex with an animal?
Yeah, so there is basically like a hypothetical version of me, right? And you're
Okay,
asking me if that hypothetical version of me went and fondled an animal, if that would be immoral, right?
yeah.
Yeah, it would be immoral.
From not from your current, not from your current index, but from that person's index,
Yeah, so
or
if
that person's
yeah,
moral framework,
so when I use moral language, I just mean I prefer it. So
descriptively.
yeah, in the sense that
Okay.
if that person has that preference, like if you're saying that it would be immoral in the sense that they don't have the preference, then no, that
No,
version
wait, okay. Once
does
again,
have the
dude.
preference.
Here's the problem, right? Here's the problem. See, we ask carnists, we give them hypotheticals all the time. We ask questions like, if you were in this situation, how would you react? If you were doing this. So, yeah, we are putting them in a situation where which is hypothetical, but then we are indexing their morality to their current self, right? That is what we are doing.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay, now what I'm doing is I'm putting you in a situation where you are sexually attracted to animals, but at the same time, I'm asking you,
Mm-hmm.
what would your current self think about it? Would you act on your biological impulses and wiring, or your preferences, your sexual preferences, or would you temper them and would you override them with moral judgment and deem that immoral,
Yeah,
even though you have that
as
impulse?
I said, right, there is just some countervailing preference in that case. So yeah, it would be immoral because there is a countervailing preference.
Okay,
Like even if I was
and
attracted, there is just going to be some countervailing desire uh, which will lead me to say that I don't prefer it on the net.
okay, on the net you don't prefer it. Why is that? What is a okay? Had it been a human instead of an animal, you wouldn't have any problems with that, right? But what is the difference between an animal
Wouldn't have a problem
and a
with
human?
what?
Going ahead and acting on those impulses,
Oh, I would
assuming
have a
that person is
problem with
also
it.
reciprocative of your consent. No, no, assuming that person is also reciprocating of your willingness of all sorts, right? If it's a
Oh, I
human, you
mean,
wouldn't have a problem.
but
But why do you
then
have a problem in the animal case?
but then you're like, I mean, you're ignoring that symmetry breaker, right? The reciprocation. There is an epistemic barrier in the animal case,
Okay, let's say
which is
animals also
absent.
reciprocate, right? Like animals can also reciprocate consent, but it's not informed consent. That's why I keep making this distinction. There are so many cases where animals initiate sexual acts with humans, right? Like dogs humping. There are many cases like that. But I'm just saying, uh, just because they do that, that doesn't mean that we have informed consent, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't like in the case of like in the case of uh, someone fondling another human who is also reciprocative. There is no epistemic barrier from that to consent. You like you could infer like there are certain behaviors from which you can infer consent in the case of humans, but I don't think
So if
that.
you have those same behaviors in animals, you still cannot accept that as informed consent, can you?
Yeah, I don't think generally animals exhibit those behaviors.
Okay, so animals cannot give informed consent. Is that a valid common ground? Do we have that?
No, again, I don't take a view on it.
No, why do you think it's immoral for you to have sex with an animal that is consenting?
Yeah, in one case there is an epistemic barrier which makes me agnostic, and in the other case there is no epistemic barrier which makes me take a view.
And what is this? This epistemic barrier is ultimately one of lack of informed consent, right?
No, the epistemic barrier is inferring whether you can infer consent from a particular behavior.
Let's say that you've studied animal physiology to such a degree that you know which acts are mating calls or whatever. Which signals from the animals are suggestive of sexual excitement, and let's say the animal reciprocates all of that
Yeah,
towards you
I
or
mean
shows all of that
there
towards
are
you.
yeah, I think I take
Okay,
behaviors. I take that there are behaviors beyond those um, which are suggestive of consent.
behave. Okay, so let's say you see all of those behaviors. Okay, at that point, you have the consent of the animal, but you don't have informed consent. Do you agree?
No, I don't even grant that I do have the consent.
Okay, so that means you don't have consent of the animals. Period.
Yeah, but so what? Like that doesn't entail that they can't give
So that
consent.
makes it even more easier for me. That makes it even more easier for me. I don't even have to make a case for informed consent. I don't even have to define what it is or how I know animals cannot give informed consent. All that, right? I just know that animals cannot give informed consent, or consent for that matter, right? Or we cannot infer consent. Is that a valid way? A
Uh,
valid way to put it?
wait, is that wait one sec? What was that again?
We cannot infer consent from the behavior of an animal for sexual purposes ever.
Yeah, I would sign off on that.
Okay, so if you cannot infer consent
Mm-hmm.
from an animal ever, then two animals mating is also not a consensual act because you cannot infer consent
No,
from either of them.
I
It's
don't
like
see.
two children trying to
I
copulate.
don't see how
It's
that
like a
follows.
it's like two children trying to copulate. You'll either separate them, or if it's not pragmatic and if you're really worried about preventing rights violations, you should kill them. That's the logical conclusion of your argument.
Wait, how does that follow?
Okay, so you're committing rights violations on carnivorous animals because you want to prevent further rights violations, correct?
No, wait, like one sec. So you could, I mean, I could just say that, like in the situation where I have where there is an epistemic barrier in the human and animal case, right?
Huh.
And because of that, I wouldn't take it to be moral to do it. But that doesn't mean that same thing exists for the animal and animal case.
So yeah, let me ask you this. So in the case of a mentally challenged human that is trade equalized with an animal, you would think it is impossible for you to have consent, right? You would not take any get any sexual favors from them ever because you think it's immoral, correct? Because you cannot have consent.
I would think it is immoral, but I wouldn't say that we can't get consent. Like,
But it's not informed consent.
wait, one sec. No. All I'm saying is, it would still be immoral, right? But that doesn't entail.
But why? Because of lack of consent. Because of lack of informed consent. That's why it would be immoral.
Not necessarily. There could be other.
Yeah, unless you're cheating on someone, that's different, right? Like let's grant all that.
There could be
Yeah.
other countervailing, like me not having a positive attitude towards just raping animals.
No,
I just
it's
don't
like,
it could
see-
be a brute. It could be a brute.
no, why do you not have a positive attitude towards that? Have you like you cannot simply say it's just a preference.
I don't know why I don't have a positive attitude.
No, let's say
towards it.
biologically you are having that. Okay, let's say that we're all sexual creatures. You know we all want that, but we don't have a positive attitude towards something because of some reason, right? Because it's lacking in uh, consent, informed consent, right? The act is lacking in consent, informed consent. That's why you don't have a positive attitude towards it. Just reason it out. Don't just keep
I mean, I don't know. Like
referring to abstract preferences.
it could be like it that's one of the things, but that's not the only things. There could be some brute.
Okay.
There could be
See,
some.
if a
brute
carnist
fact.
were to play these games, right? Like
There
if a
could
carnist were to
there
say,
could be
it's
like
not
a
my
brute
preference to give
epistemic.
animals rights.
Yeah, there could be a
So
brute
it's not my
epistemic thing.
so if a carnist were to say it's not my preference to give animals rights, I don't know why, I don't know the reason, I don't know the symmetry breaker, I don't know the exact reasoning. You would not agree. Why are you pulling these tactics here? That's extremely dishonest.
I don't wait. How does me not agreeing in that context differ from me not agreeing in this context?
I'm saying you're pulling the same tactic, right? You're not pointing to anything concrete. You're just
Yeah, I don't have to point
being
to anything
wishy-washy.
concrete. It's your burden, so you justify it.
No, but if you want to arrive at a like if there is a learning goal here, then we need to have common ground.
I
Right?
mean,
Otherwise, we're just
that's
two
not my
different
goal
individuals
here.
with two different values.
The goal here is to ascertain the truth value of the proposition.
And you're willfully avoiding that by not taking obviously held stances that see if a carnist thinks there is nothing wrong with raping a baby, the chances are I'm not going to be able to convince that person that raping animals is wrong. Likewise, if you think there is nothing wrong in having, or if you have not made up your mind when it comes to raping of animals, I'm not going to be able to convince you that I'm not going to be able to
That's
convince you
not
of
my
the
view.
validity or truth of my
That's
proposition.
not my view.
Right? Truth of my
I
assertions.
didn't say there's nothing wrong with raping animals.
No, you're not taking a stance on it. You're being agnostic about it.
No, I'm
So
not
if a
taking.
carnist says I'm agnostic about raping babies,
I'm not
no, if
agnostic
a
on
carnist
it.
says I'm agnostic about raping and eating
Wait. I'm not agnostic on it being immoral to rape animals.
So what is your stance on it?
I said you like. So the point was that in one case, in the human case where.
No, what is your stance on it? Just tell me. If you're not agnostic about raping animals, what is your stance on it? Just tell me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it would be ethical to rape animals.
Okay, and why?
There are, I mean, one I could just say that it's a brute epistemic standard. The other thing is that
Like, okay, carnists can say the same. Epistemic standard for why I don't think animals deserve right? They cannot
Sure, I mean,
understand rights.
carnists
They don't
can
have the
say,
epistemics of
yeah,
that.
sure. I mean,
Yeah.
there is nothing stopping a carnist from saying that. They can. So what?
Yeah, so these are all same wishy-washy tactics. You're being very weaselly, right? You're being dishonest at this point. You know that
Wait, what's the
you
dishonesty?
do wait. You're behaving like a bot. This is why I say you behave like a bot, because you
Yeah,
intuitively
again,
agree that
I'm not.
wait.
I'm
Listen, let me finish.
again.
I'll let you speak. Let me finish. And I'll let you speak.
I'm not interested in your
Let me
rambles,
finish and I'll let you speak.
right? I'm not
No. You
interested
say
in
that.
your
Okay, I know that you're
rambles.
not interested, but you intuitively
Yeah,
understand that animals cannot give informed
I'm
consent.
not letting you
You
ramble.
understand that animals cannot give informed consent, but you pretend to be agnostic like a bot.
No,
And this is no different than a
don't take a
carnist
view.
pretending to be agnostic about raping babies. This is no different than a
No.
carnist trying to pretend like they're agnostic about the morality of babies. It's no different than a carnist trying to say that I don't know whether a baby can give consent. I'm agnostic about that. That's literally the stance you're trying to pull.
Yeah,
Okay? If a carnist is
some
if
idiot
a
muted
carnist
me again. Some idiot mute. Can you just
no if a
tell?
carnist if a carnist
Can you just tell your slaves to not mute me, and then
these
just
are actually
stay
very free-minded individuals with whom I have
just
a lot
stay
of
in their
interest.
lanes.
Slaves are that Bindu and Nisha. Those are your slaves. Vegan King. Those are your slaves.
Just
Okay,
stay in
these are
their
not my
lane,
slaves. They are my
right? Just
friends.
stay in their
They are my
lane.
equals in every way. They are my intellectual equals and my friends and my dearest friends in every
I
way.
mean,
They're not slaves like your bootlickers
if
like
they're
Nisha and
equals,
Vegan King and
if they're
that
equals,
Bindu, that idiot.
if they're
Okay.
equals, they wouldn't feel the need to give you
Yeah,
an
yeah,
unfair
yeah,
advantage by muting you,
yeah.
right? By
Because you're
muting me,
rambling,
right?
you're just being a wishy-washy, weaselly cunt
Yeah,
that you are.
they're
You're being
muting me
dishonest. You're
and
just
giving you
constantly
they're
You're
muting me.
constant. You're
They're
constant.
muting me
No.
and
Okay,
giving
guys,
me an
don't mute him. Don't
advantage.
mute him. Don't mute him. Don't have to mute him. Don't have to
Yeah,
mute
they
him. But here's what it comes to, right? Like
I
you are.
want one of them to apologize for muting me.
No, nobody's gonna apologize. They'll
Yeah.
just not mute in future. That's it. Going forward, they'll not mute.
No.
That's it.
I like if this is going to be
Okay, I apologize. I don't know who muted. I don't know who muted. I'll apologize on the behalf. They
no,
won't mute you. I
it's
apologize.
indiscipline.
Okay.
She said in the chat, I'll do it again,
Okay.
right? So I want an apology from indiscipline.
No, so this is just you deviating further from the chat, trying to divert attention from the fact that you are
No,
behaving the way a carnist would.
I'm just pointing
No,
out that
wait. I'm telling you
I'm
what.
just
There is
pointing that you
Apu, let
guys
me
are
tell you a
using
story.
unfair means.
Aputa, let me tell you a story, okay? Let me tell you a story. There is this
I'm just pointing
there is this
out.
Discord server called the Slaughterhouse. There is a Discord server called the Slaughterhouse.
I'm
It is
just
filled
pointing
with
out that
wait. Listen.
you're using unfair admin privileges
No,
to
okay, guys.
stifle me,
Okay,
right?
let's not mute him. Let's not mute
Yeah,
him. Let's
so
not mute him.
yeah,
Let's not mute
I
him.
need an
But
apology.
listen to a story.
I need an
I
apology
apologize
from.
on her behalf.
No,
I
I
apologize
want
on
an
her behalf.
apology from
Listen to me.
her. I want
Okay,
an
this is just
apology
you
from her.
stalling. Petulant little pedantic child.
Of course, I'm
Petulant
stalling
little
it
pedantic
because
child.
I'm stalling it because
Pedantic child.
it's a point of process, right? Of course, I'm stalling the debate.
Petulant pedantic child.
It's a point
Petulant
of
pedantic child.
process.
Okay, guys, look, guys, don't have to mute him.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move forward.
Indiscipline needs to say
Okay,
sorry for
petulant
muting
pedantic
a
child.
putter.
No, she's not gonna do that. Debate or leave. That's it.
Yeah, if you're not gonna do it, I just I just don't see why I would consider you as an honest, good faith actor. All you need to just say sorry for muting you, Apota. That's
No,
all.
she's not gonna say sorry. Why should she apologize to you, a petulant pest like you, right? You've been the one harassing her from right from the start. Like, you remember that post she made. She had no intention of debating you or anyone. She just made a simple harmless post. You weren't even following her, okay? That idiot vegan king, that cuck, the jobless shit,
I'm not
torpedo
interested.
cuck.
Just
He literally sent you that post just so he could
I
harass her, and you did that
I
like
am
a
not
rabid
interested.
dog.
I am
You
not
harassed her like a
interested.
rabid dog. You apologize
I am
first.
not
You apologize first.
interested. I'm
You
not
apologize
interested in
first
your
for
rambles.
harassing her.
I'm
You
not
apologize
interested.
first for harassing her like a little
I
pedantic
am
runt,
not
like a
interested.
rabid
I
dog,
am
like
not
a
in.
like
I
you're like
am
a
not. I
rabid,
am not
virulent
interested.
pest.
I
That's what you
am
are to the
not
vegan community.
interested. I am not interested.
You're like a
I need an apology from Indisciplinia.
no, you're not gonna get it. You're like a virulent rabid pest. That's what you are to the vegan community. You're just
I
ruining friendships.
I
You're just
need an
ruining. You're
apology.
just creating a fracture in the community. That's what
Aputa,
you are. You're just
Aputa,
creating fracture in the
go
community.
fuck yourself, you fat cunt. There's your apology.
That's not an apology, right? So again,
See, I didn't want to come. I didn't want it come to this. I didn't want to come to this. You can actually debate the topic or just leave. That's it at this point.
yeah, I mean,
You're not going to get an
If
apology.
you're-
You
if-
apologize for harassing her
if you-
first.
if you're
You
going
apologize
to-
for harassing her first.
if you're going to be
You
using,
apologize for harassing her.
if
You apologize for
if you're
harassing
going
her
to be-
first, then she'll end up an
if
apology.
you're going to use unfair admin privileges to stifle me, of course
No,
I'm
we're
going
not
to
using any unfair admin.
Of
Okay, she
course.
stopped it. I've told her to stop, and
Yeah,
I have
and
apologized on her behalf.
I
You
don't
won't take
want
it.
I
You
don't
won't
want
take
an
it, right?
apology from
Because you
your-
want to stall the debate.
I don't
You want to play
want-
victim. You want to play victim.
Yeah, I don't
You wanna
want
play
an
victim?
apology
You wanna
from
stall
you.
the
I
debate?
want an apology from
I've
Indisappear.
stopped now because he's asked me to. I'll stop. But why don't you apologize for talking over him so much?
No, I need an apology from you for using unfair
Go and
admin
shut
privileges.
yourself, you fat bastard. You're not going to get one.
Yeah, I mean, then you're just a retard.
Aputa. So you can actually debate properly, or you can just leave at this
debate
point, right?
properly.
Like, I'm just giving you this argument.
Your bitch
Yeah,
muted
yeah.
me.
I wasn't even aware, right?
Your-
Like,
your
she won't
bitch
do it any
muted me.
further. I apologized on her
Then
behalf. You won't take it.
ask your
What-
bitch.
what more
then
can I do?
ask your bitch to
Shut the
apologize.
fuck up. Shut the fuck up, okay?
Yeah,
You are everyone's
ask
bitch.
your-
You're vegan king's bitch. You are these
Ask
bitch.
your bitch to
Anything you ask
apologize.
every day, you shameless fuck. You don't have any original thought of your own. You just swallow whatever nonsense he
Yeah,
spouts him and ask yourself,
look,
and then you have zero originality of your own, and then
look,
you disseminate the same
look,
trash to your minions like that
look,
vegan idiot, vegan cuck idiot.
Look,
He's not a vegan king. He's a vegan slave. Okay, he's like the
Look.
nameless, jobless slave that he is, and his minion Nisha, and that idiot Bindu. These are the only idiots that you'll ever
I mean,
get close to,
you
right? Because
talk
they are your
about proper
subservient
debate,
slaves.
but you talk about proper debate,
Yeah,
but,
yeah,
your,
yeah.
but your bitch
Yeah,
mutes
because
me.
you're not behaving in a proper disciplined manner. You're not behaving
Yeah,
properly.
I mean,
okay?
is-
you
is-
harassed Indisappear first. You harassed Indisappear first last
Yeah, I mean, that
November or
doesn't-
October.
wait,
when she was
wait.
not even interested in having a conversation.
Yeah,
You're
I'm not
following.
interested in the
You
meta.
harassed her. You harassed her.
I'm not
And then you're playing
interested in
victim
this
here, right?
tangent.
You apologize first.
Right?
You
I'm not
apologize
interested
first,
in
and then
this
we can
tangent.
we
That's
can
a
think of an
different
apology
debate. This
from
is
you.
a different debate.
You
right?
you harassed
You-
her last November. You
used-
harassed her last October, and then
you
you were being a petulant little cunt like you are right
used
now.
unfair admin.
Okay, this is not
privileges
going
to
anywhere.
mute
Are you
me,
gonna
right?
stop? Oh, she's not gonna mute you anymore. She's not gonna mute you
No,
anymore.
I want an apology.
And you have my
or
word
we're
for
done.
that. If you are actually interested in the debate, if you are actually interested in these learning goals that
I'm
you talk about,
Yeah, it's a point of process. That's why I'm stalling the debate. You muted me. You used unfair
yeah,
admin
right,
privileges.
right. That's
I
because
want
you
an
know
apology
that
from.
you're pulling the same carnist tactic, right? A carnist would say that they're agnostic about whether a child can give informed consent.
No,
I'm agnostic about whether a child can give informed consent, so I don't know about animals. I cannot agree with you on animals. You're pulling the same tactic. You know that
your bitch
animals
used
can give,
unfair
cannot give
admin
informed
privileges,
consent, and
right?
therefore,
Your
I'll give
bitch-
you an apology if you tell me what your bra size is.
At least I have one. You don't even have that. Flat chested Conrad. Anyway, yeah, your bitch can apologize
No,
and we
that's
can
your-
continue, or we're done. It's your call. Do you want to flee, or are you going to ask your bitch to apologize? I guess they're going to flee.